truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's new.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Come on, man. Can you feel the pain? Into him now. About this new world.
Use your own computer.
Ain't no train. Papa's got a brand new eye.
Rosenbar. Yeah. You, our incredible viewers, have kept us going. Your support, your donations, your time.
I don't know why that I fixed that the other night. What the hell? Hold on a second. Liv. All right, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my buttons.
Adjusting transmitter.
That's the goodbye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Yay, it worked. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? How was your weekend? I know it feels like we just talked to each other on Saturday because we did. Text messages on Zoom still are not working, but you can call in, leave a voicemail. You can text me and say, you know, I hate you, Matt. You're a horrible human being, all this other stuff. And I can read it. I just can't respond to you yet because I have to have an SMS account and I have to get certified by like the FCC and all this other crap. And it's a real pain in the Yahoo. Anyway, that should be up soon. I'm going through the motions of getting that done. Coffee is back at the Don't Unfriend Me show. We've sold a ton of bags of coffee so far. You can go to thedumbshow.com and do that. And also, we're a donation-based show, so if you want to donate to the show and you like the show, you can go to thedumbshow.com/donate. And it's good to have you here. I'm running solo. Olivia is sick. She got the sniffles and then sore throat and all that stuff. So I just told her, just take the night off, you know? And with the snow and the ice and all that, she's going to keep the fire warm and well, fire's going to be warm no matter what, but she's going to keep the fire going and stuff like that and, you know, keep the bed warm, all that stuff. So, oh, someone's in my driveway. Yeah, never mind. Hope everyone's doing well. This show is going to be interesting. But yeah, she's not feeling well. So I just say go. Just stay home. Stay home. Just relax. So we're going to play our game later and she'll get some soup and all that stuff. Welcome. So this show is not going to be like you're not going to love it because it is my job to call out the administration when they make mistakes. And I'm not even going to call out Trump, because President Trump, in my opinion, has handled this flawlessly. And when he doesn't, I say so. And when he does, I also give him credit. But I'm not too happy with Kash Patel and Kristi Noem. But there's also another side. It's funny is that every single side, like Whoopi on The View, had some things to say. And most of the things she said were completely retarded. And the other things she said weren't. And Kristi Noem has some things that were completely retarded. And Kash Patel has some things that were retarded. Trey Gowdy is just retarded. And then Tim Walz's daughter is completely retarded. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So yeah. I know. I've heard all about the lieutenant governor. I'm going to talk about that. Hang tight on that. Don't jump the gun. Because if you jump the gun, there's a good chance that you're going to be wrong, right? I mean, we want to try to, you guys recognize what happened Saturday, right? We had a great show, came in for like an hour and a half, and we walked through and broke it down. From the firearm, we identified that it was a SIG P320 NX model, but thought it was a 365 at first, was my guess, close enough, or a P229. Some people thought it was a Beretta, and whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, we got that right. We got right that he was disarmed. We got it right that what was in his hand was a cell phone. We got it right that there was more than likely a negligent discharge, or the officer in the blue jeans heard gun, and saw a gun. And then when you're in a high intensity situation like that, you're going to react. So either he pulled the trigger, and then that created a chain reaction of events. Because your job is when you say gun, and you decide to fire, you're not checking with one shot and then seeing if the suspect is dead. You put the assailant down, and that's the way it works. So there's a whole bunch here, and then there's so much, but can I just say that we got it right before the regular media? Nobody was touching on this stuff. But you look at CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they were all going with the narrative. I mean, they just read the DHS release statement and just either went against it and juxtaposed against it, or just went with it and were like, oh yeah, he got a shot off. Now, when we first saw it, I openly admitted, Dominic Izzo even called me out. He's like, do you have evidence of this? This guy shot first. And I said, well, I got a firsthand witness account that there was a shot, but it made me stop and go and look into it. So I went and looked into it. And of course, I corrected the things that I was wrong on my posts, but that was why I got on live. And this was like 30 minutes after everything was on Facebook. And we just went, hey, here's what we said based upon the information. And here's now what we found. Here's the video evidence. And the video evidence says that this guy was disarmed. That yes, he had a gun. Yes, he's an asshole. Yes, he was protesting. But did he deserve to die? No. And honestly, because he is a concealed carry licensed gun owner, I am in the club, and I will tell you, you've got to have a pretty shit tight record, man. You've got to be, your P's and Q's and your I's and T's have to be dotted and crossed, and you've got to be a good, upstanding human being. And if you're not, you're going to get it. What do you mean I'm coming through blurry? I mean, that's your internet connection. There's no blur here. This is 4K. You want me to show it to you? Watch this. This is how I know. Watch. This is gonna blow you away. If this is blurry too, that's you. Oh, it's you. See? Because that's a still image of what I'm seeing and what you're seeing. That's identical. So that means it's your image, not mine. It's you. It's your internet connection. Sorry, boo. Anyway, so we're going to look at it. He was shot how many times? 10. Yeah. That's what happens when you have, 7, 8 officers, and you have multiple officers draw down. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all. You're probably going to have 3 officers who fired, basically, from what we saw. I know it looks like 2, but it looks like multiple officers fired. I'm not justifying it. But I'll tell you what, when you pull your weapon, it's not to pull your weapon to threaten somebody. You have other means to do that. Pepper spray, a PR-24, a taser, height, weight, size. When you pull out your firearm, it's to put that person down permanently. You're not looking to wound. You're not looking to shoot somebody in the leg. You're looking to end the threat. So I don't care how many rounds are there. I just don't. It's immaterial to me. because I would do the same thing in any situation that I pull. My entire mag is going to be unloaded. And now what I'm not going to do is fire a few rounds, get that person down, and then walk up to them and then plug them while they're down. I'm not going to do that. And, forensics are going to come out on this. They're going to do the investigation. We're going to see what we see. But see, the funny thing is that people immediately assume, because I'm a Donald Trump supporter, that I agree with this shooting and say it's a justified shooting. It is justified, but it didn't need to happen. And those things are really, really important. Angela says, Matt, I sent you a donation and you were gone. Let me have Olivia check into that, Angela. I'm sure you did. And we probably were on a delay and then we were gone. And thank you for your donation. I appreciate you. Yeah, Francis is right. I don't go to a protest with a loaded firearm. Either do I. So we're going to get into all of that tonight and we're going to crush it. And you guys want to call in. You want to disagree with me? I had a bunch of lib labs who were, oh God, just insufferable putzes. They're just whiner babies. And they just want to go after everybody because they can't, I don't know what it is. Maybe they just can't deal with it, but they don't know how to have a conversation. And all they want to do is just deflect. Oh, well, what? All the riots that are happening. Yes, we got the donation from Angela. Do you want me to put it in tonight? No, it's okay. I added it to last night's total. Can you give me the total so we can give Angela the proper due? That would be awesome. So they just deflect. And of course, they're looking at this person. It's like, well, wait a second. What about Laken Riley? You guys didn't protest for her. Okay, well, then don't sit here and tell me that you riot when it's unjust homicides are taking place, because you didn't protest against the Biden administration for allowing 20 million immigrants or illegals to come in. You didn't allow them you gave them all the leeway in the world, and you didn't go ahead and do anything to hold them accountable for the amount of crimes that were taking place. The fentanyl, Tren de Aragua, MS-13 coming into our countries, running narco-terrorist labs inside of our cities. Give me a break. You didn't say any of that. So don't give me this shit that you care. You're told to do it, so you do it. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. You're told to do it by social media influencers. You're told to do it by the news media. You're told to do it by a lot of people. And if that's the way you want your life to be handled. But then the question is, well, why don't Republicans do this? And they're like, January 6th. Well, I thought January 6th was an insurrection, not a riot. How's that possible? See, what's funny is you're going to see a lot of my numbers going down right now, and they're going to go like this. They're going to go down, because people are going to be watching the live show and go, is this really something I want to watch? And they're going to find out, well, I may agree with the shooting, but I don't agree with this guy's politics. And that's fine. And that's usual, but maybe just tear it out. But people get upset, and they're going to be upset, and there's nothing you can do. You can't solve these things for people because they don't want to change. They don't want to be influenced. They don't want to hear the truth. And you know what? Tonight, you may not want to hear it. You might get upset at me. Oh, Matt, how could you say that? How could you not just fervently defend? Because I do. Because I have friends who work for ICE. I have friends, close friends who work for ICE. I have close friends who work for U.S. Marshals. I have lifelong friends and brothers who work for Secret Service and MARSOC. I don't know what to tell you. But when they're wrong, I'm going to call them out, and I expect the same when it comes to what I do and do not. Olivia might be sending this thing from Angela. I'm kind of waiting for it. Liv, can I have the amount from Angela, please? Thank you, honey. All right, so let's get into it. We got a bunch to do. What's that? I need how much did Angela give us? Would she have a message? Angela said $25. I hope this helps, Angela. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Dave Grayson says this show hotter than the weather forecast got wrong. Oh, I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'm going to take it as a compliment, Dave, because it looks like you're in the military and you're okay with me. All right. So let's do this. Let's go over all of these things. And let's take it slow. Let's call in if you have an opinion. If you want to make a text, you notice that we're going viral on some things. We have a post that's at 2.5 million. And then Olivia did a post today that you guys may have seen that hers is going viral. So we have a bunch of stuff going viral. So it's good. So let's get to it. So everything that's going on in Minnesota, right? So latest developments. You got to look at the whole ball of wax. And this just didn't start with this shooting, guys. This has been going on for a while. And these protesters and these counter protesters have been doing this. So they like to pretend, oh, we just showed up for Petty, or what's his name? Pretty, whatever his name is. We just showed up for him. No, you didn't. You were there the whole time. You've been throwing dog shit at cops. You've been throwing ice at cops. You've been going ahead and setting off fireworks. You've been biting their fingers. You've been using mace and pepper spray against them. You guys have been violent. But this goes back further than just the weekend. We know this. 3,000 arrests just in January of 2026 in Minnesota. 3,000. That's incredible. That's insane. And if you take it over since November, it's over, 11,000, which is a state legislature's seat. They have literally removed a legislature seat from Minnesota because of the illegals that will not be counted in the census. You wonder why they're upset. You wonder why they're frustrated, because they're not going to get their state legislature seats. That's important. That's important. And you understand that that's what this is about. We know what happened to Renee Good. No, that's not her picture. And we know what happened to Alex. And no, that's not his picture. Because sometimes AI doesn't get it right. And I really don't care. You guys get the point. It's all over the place. Some of the other things that are talking about is the 32 deaths that they're saying were in custody. The negligent deaths in 2025. But nobody brings up the Obama negligent deaths. There were 64 of them. Listen. The reason why there's 32 deaths in custody is because we have literally put such a large percentage over previous years in custody when we hadn't. And that's because Biden didn't arrest anybody. Biden did what they normally do. They did turnaways. And that is completely different than people who have matriculated into our cities, into sanctuary cities, and have made a home, and who are criminals. Very different. Okay, simply turning people away at the border, even though everyone said it was an open border, Biden and Obama deported more than Donald Trump ever could. But the interesting thing is, it's not just deportation. Self-deports is massive. 1.65 million have self-deported because of incentives and also because of the threat of ICE and everything else. So it's not that Donald Trump's not getting the job done. He's also not allowing them in. And that is what Biden did wrong. Biden would take people out and then let a 3-to-1 ratio back in. And that is what caught up to him. But you're starting to see businesses close. You're seeing these protests. You're seeing this is literally federal versus state. I mean, it hasn't been this contentious since Brown versus the Board of Education due to segregation. So this is important. That's a lot. Yes, illegals count in seats, folks. If you count on the census, you cannot ask an illegal if he's illegal. You can't ask him if he's a U.S. citizen. Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional and against the privacy laws. So that means, yes, illegals are being counted in the head count of the census. Yes, that's true. That's why California gets seats every single year, even though they're bleeding people, because they're repopulating their states. And so are all these liberal states that are losing people. They're repopulating them with illegals and then using that. Now, that gives you Senate is already guaranteed for 2, but it does impact your state legislature. Absolutely. It impacts your city council. It impacts county clerks and recorders, school board positions. Absolutely. It impacts all of it. So when people are like, oh, illegals can't vote. Yes, they can inadvertently because they're counted as head count and they need representation because we can't ask them the simple question, are you illegal? Are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have voter ID? If we did, you would be taking 20 to 22 million people out of the voter registries, and Democrats would never win another election again because they're all frickin' liberal illegals. That's the truth. That's why they don't want this. It's not for any other reason. Come on, people. Money, power, votes. That's what it's all about. All right. So let's get into kind of set it up. We're talking about Minnesota. We're talking about a lot of other things. But we're going to talk about Kash Patel. Tara says, how are they protected for a census but not a citizen? Who came up with that BS? Right. Well, it's under the Constitution of the United States that all God-given and natural rights are due and entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that is 100% guaranteed for any person. It's not just the United States. The United States recognized in our state constitution that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is a God-given and a natural right, inherited and endowed upon all men, not just us. Even if people step on our soil and they're a foreign national, they still are endowed with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And liberty is absolutely the right to privacy. So those rights are endowed upon everybody because they are natural rights, especially in the United States. And when you are on U.S. soil, you are allowed and afforded rights. It's just the way it is. Whether we disagree with that or not, that's the way it is. Can you imagine if we invited our enemies to the United States, got here, offered them asylum, offered them whatever, and then immediately arrested them and throw them in prison with no rights and no due process? And that is basically one of the reasons why you would not do that. Also, if foreign nationals or dignitaries come over here, ambassadors from foreign countries who have a right because it's not our soil, especially at an embassy, it's not our soil, it's their soil. And the moment that we would infringe upon that, we are infringing upon the rights that we agreed to. So you do have to afford rights to foreign nationals and even illegals and even criminals. Yes, you do. That's why we don't execute them in the street. Even though all the liberals are going to tell you that we executed good and pretty in the street, which is physically correct, but not fundamentally correct, which we'll talk about. All right, so let's get into this. You're not going to like this. You're going to get upset at me. But Kash Patel came out and did a statement. And we're going to listen to it, and then I want your opinions too, okay? We're all going to listen to it. Let's listen to it together. Let me switch the audio over. Good to see so many people on tonight. It's crushing tonight. A lot of people on. I don't even know where we are when it comes to Rumble real quick. I'm going to check that, and then I'm going to play the video. See where we are. Enter. Oh, nice. Doing good on Rumble. All right, here we go. Listen to this.
I mean, thousands of people are marching through Minneapolis. They are targeting the Border Patrol. I mean, it feels like the rhetoric and the protesting is only ramping up. What is your advice to the people right now who are outraged that this is a second killing at the hands of Border Patrol in 2 weeks?
As Christy said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, in these protests turning into violent scenarios and people attacking law enforcement. That's when you go over the line, and that's when law enforcement steps in.
Well,
Okay, so let's get to it. People need to understand something when it comes to having a concealed carry. I happen to have several concealed carries, and depending upon where I'm going, what I'm doing, and what I may encounter, in my opinion, I will select a different concealed carry. But most of the time, I carry a P365 X macro, which is what this is, with a red dot. And I carry that, and I carry it with 2 mags. One stays with me by my side at all times. So if I got to go full joy, I've got this with me. This slides into my pocket, and then I've got the firearm right here. And that goes with me at all times, pretty much everywhere I go. And wherever I am in my house, I have a firearm within 5 feet of me everywhere I'm at. That's just the way it is in any situation. Now, the reason why I have that situation is because people are
Logan and
did it again, effing crazy. And I get death threats all the time. Why? Because I have opinions and they don't like them. Most of these are all fake and everything else, but I'm not going to put my family at risk. So yes, we had to rewire the entire house, full security, full cameras, full motion cameras everywhere, 180 decibel alarm system, which pretty much can be heard anywhere in the town. I've got the police who are friends of mine who visit my house every 15 minutes on the hour. They are right by my house. And this is just the way it is. Yeah, Todd, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm not going to shut the fuck up, so that's never going to happen. And you don't look like you're a guy who can make me. So anyway, moving on. So when we're talking about magazines, and taking a firearm, you can pretty much take it anywhere you want, depending upon your state laws. Now, whether it's concealed carry, whether it's open carry, or what your guidelines are. For some states, you can't carry a firearm in a church. You can't go into the postal office or a federal building. You can't go ahead and respond to a summons with a firearm on you. You can't go to a major sporting event. There's plenty of things you can't do, and you get listed with all of these things you can and can't do, and you sit through a course that is just absolutely painstakingly long, and they tell you pretty much everything that Preddy did you don't do. Okay? And that's the firearm. So when we as concealed carry operators, we say the following every time. Do I have my firearm? Do I have my extra mag? Do I have my license with me, which allows me to carry? Do I have my identification on me if they're separated? Yes, I do. And then at that point, once you check off all those boxes, you ask yourself the question, where I'm going, am I going to be able to carry? Am I going into Washington, D.C.? Am I going to a federal building? Am I going to a Broncos game? Whatever it is. Just figure it out. And then you go ahead and you make a decision whether to carry or not. Now, some people get really into it and they carry and they make sure they're not printing or anything else, which is showing your firearm and, get their tactical web belt on and all this other crap. But there is a conscientious decision every time we carry, no matter where we are or where we go. We ask ourselves the question, am I going to be legal to carry there? And do I have everything that I need in order to demonstrate that this is a legal concealed firearm? Every concealed carry says the same thing to themselves when they leave the house. And if there's anyone who disagrees with me, please let me know, and I will show you a person who doesn't have a CCL or a CWL. This is CCW. This is why this whole argument should have ended a long time ago. He never should have had a firearm. Now, once we establish that he should never have a firearm on him, how do we know that? Well, we know it because he did not have a license on him to show his permit. He was legally carried in the state of Minnesota, but he didn't have his permit on him for concealed carry. It's very different. People say, well, you can open carry here or here or here. Sure you can, but he wasn't open carry. His firearm, which was on his right hip, was covered by his jacket, which makes it concealed. Do you understand? It makes it a concealed weapon. Now, do the same laws apply to a constitutional carry state? Within limits. Within limits. Still, the federal property and going to sporting events, those are all restrictive based upon the venue. And even if it is a state constitutional carry, a business can refuse the right to serve and tell you not to brandish your firearms. 50.1 and 50.2, I believe, is what it is in Houston, Texas, where you have to look at the outside sign and it will say whether you can carry or carry concealed or carry open carry. But a business can tell you not to. In fact, all my Comcast stores, absolutely no open carry. So when I would go into my stores, I would disarm and I'd put it in my glove box. And that's the way it was. So now that we've established that he did not have a license on him, which demonstrate that he was legally carrying, that's against the law. And the thing is that you have a higher standard of burden as a concealed carry holder. Now, this is the interesting thing, and this is universal in all states, is that as a higher standard of burden, there is a certain way you must act, and there are certain things you must not do. You must not instigate into verbal or physical arguments. You can't flip somebody off when you drive by them. Because if that person pulls you over and it is found that you flipped them off and instigated them, then they came at you and you shot them, even though you would be in your rights to do so under stand your ground laws in some states, you initiated that argument. You initiated that fight. You provoked it. You can't just brandish your firearm nilly-willy and have break leather, because once you break leather, it's a completely set of new rules. So the fact that this guy did not have a license, came into a situation where there would be police, that there would be conflict, provoked that conflict, he would have lost his license. If they would arrest him for that, then found out he was concealed carry and everything was fine and he got thrown into the paddy wagon, the moment that he got there, the state would reject his concealed carry permit. He would be done. He would be cooked. The moment that he took it to a conflict or a protest and he was arrested for inciting violence or obstruction of justice or resisting arrest, oh, he was cooked. He was toast. Okay, somebody ban Todd, please, because I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Dude, 276-200-2105. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I don't even know who you are. Plug your pie hole, dickhead. I don't even know who you are. Don't gaslight your constituents. My constituents? I'm not even a fucking elected representative. What are you talking about? Constituents? Did you look up that word yesterday? Did you read a Greek scholastic program and pulled a word out of your frickin' vagina hole and decided to use it today in any context you possibly could to sound smart? You sound retarded. Your constituents, your parishioners. Anyway. So there it is. So that right there will tell you that the first set of this that Cash had to say, that's right. That's right. But Cash didn't know that. And Cash said that you cannot concealed carry at a protest, which is a complete and utter fabrication. It's complete and utter fabrication. He could carry that firearm anywhere he wanted if he was legal and he had his license. Now, this is all of us just speculating here because he didn't have his license and he was illegally carrying at that point. It doesn't matter. Let's just assume that it's me and I show up to that protest. Can I go to that protest with 2 mags, 3 mags, 4 mags, 5 mags, 4? Well, Dr. Seuss it and carry my firearm, concealed carry, if I had my concealed carry permit? Yes, I could. And there's nothing they could do unless it was on federal property, unless it was notified that there was no carrying in that area based upon private property. Otherwise, I'm free to carry. That's it. So Cash is wrong. Why did Cash say that? Because if you listen to the end, I'm going to show you why, because he walks it back. Listen to it again. We have to slow it down. Why? Because Cash gets ahead of himself. I don't know if you guys know this, but he talks really, really fast. And this isn't the first time he said stupid shit. People make mistakes. People have long hours. They get tired, whatever. He gets in front of the camera. He gets camera drunk, whatever it is. Kind of like Jason, who's like trying to measure his penis against me right now. People get a little weird. Here it is. Listen to this.
I mean, thousands of people are marching through Minneapolis. They are targeting the Border Patrol. I mean, it feels like the rhetoric and the protesting is only ramping up. What is your advice to the people right now?
Okay. So here's the first part. Now, I want you to listen. He immediately, oh, you can't carry a firearm with 2 mags. Thank God he didn't call them clips. Oh, my God. I can't stand people who call them clips. And then you'll see him kind of walk it back. Listen.
Are outraged that this is a second killing at the hands of Border Patrol in 2 weeks.
As Christy said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence.
Okay. So the implication is that Cash Patel believes that bringing a firearm or having one sitting next to you or owning a firearm with a couple of mags in a place where there's a protest is inciting violence. That's complete bullshit. It's not inciting violence in any way, shape, or form. And this pretty guy did not incite violence by having a concealed carry. He incited violence by obstructing justice and physically assaulting police officers and resisting arrest. That was inciting violence. Now you can, he was just trying to save that woman. He had no right to save that woman. He wasn't there in an official capacity. She wasn't under any danger in any way, shape, or form. They used a non-lethal force to spray her because she was attacking police. He was also sprayed and continued to resist. Give me a break. You people, he was just a victim. He was innocent. No, he wasn't. We know he wasn't. Because we saw his actions before. And if you don't, it's because you've selectively decided not to watch any of the video, only the video that confirms your biases. Now, here's the rest.
We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country in these protests.
All right, now here comes the walk back.
turning into violent scenarios and people attacking law enforcement. That's when you go over the line, and that's when law enforcement steps in.
Okay. So he kind of muddled it all together, didn't he? He kind of was like, you can't carry. But then he's like, but if you attack and incite violence. So what he probably, he just bleh all over the floor. What he probably meant to say, and I'm not going to speak for him. I mean, what he said was absolutely wrong, and I disagree with everything he said. And Kristi Noem and the DHS report that they put out was completely fabricated and bullshit. This guy was not a domestic terrorist. Give me a break. Come on, guys. Come on. Okay? Can we stop? This guy was definitely a twat waffle. Okay. And nobody we would ever agree with, and probably argued with him on Facebook and X. But was he a domestic terrorist? No. He has no previous history of this. He is an activist, but he also did some really good things in his life and took care of vets. You see that when he read over the last words of a veteran. This guy is not somebody who I would probably hang out with and have a beer or two, but I don't call him a domestic terrorist simply because he has a mag. 2 mags and a firearm, including one that's very similar to the one I own. Okay? I think it's ridiculous. And I think DHS should have waited. And they did what everyone else did, and they jumped to conclusions. And they didn't have a Saturday show to go ahead and correct their mistakes. That's what happened. So what he should have said was, listen, bringing a firearm to a protest with multiple magazines might be your constitutional right, especially if it's an open carry or constitutional carry or you're licensed to carry. However, there is better judgment and there's a higher level of standard, especially if you're going to possibly be in an altercation with police, if you're going to be in an altercation where you might get your blood up and use that firearm against an officer, or you're just creating too much stress and too much danger in a situation that already has enough of both. And the moment that he decided to escalate and get physical with officers, resist arrest, obstruct justice, and break the law, he put his life in danger unnecessarily. That's it. That's all he had to say. That's what you say, and it's perfect. But he didn't. He didn't. Dave Ken, I remember you from Facebook. You didn't call in. 276-200-2105. Tell me what's bullshit, Marine. Come on, buddy. You're a Marine. You should have the balls to call me. Tell me what's bullshit. What did I say that was bullshit? Tell me the lie, butta. Tell me which one it was, Green Crayons. I'm waiting for you. Semper Fi, Mac. Let's go, Gyrene. Get in here. I'm going to rip off your head and shit down your neck. Let's go. You're a man. Get in here. You fought for our country. You can do this. Get on the phone. Get on the phone. Get on the phone. Did you see his video prior? Which video prior? Yeah. The Pretty guy? Yeah, I saw his video, and I just said that. Exactly. Just because it's your right doesn't make it right. Right. You just make the decision. You have a higher standard than everyone else when you're concealed carry. That's the way it is. That's it. The moment that he went into that situation and carried a firearm, it was stupid. It was a stupid decision. Why would you carry a firearm in that situation? If the only people are there are federal officers and the only people on the other side are protesters, and those federal officers are conducting a mission that they are allowed to do constitutionally, why bring a firearm? You don't think there's enough officers there to protect you from something that happens? Oh, so you consider the officers a threat. So now that you consider the officers a threat, your firearm does not become a defensive weapon. It becomes a possible offensive weapon to eliminate the threat. That's the only reason to fucking carry it. Give me a break. Oh, yeah, there's a ton of shit talkers. They don't have the balls, though. 276-200-2105. Dude, I pay that line for you. I get you a toll-free line that you can text me or call me and have your pretty little voice come out of this box, and you won't do it. Why? Because you're cowards. Because you know I'll cook you. I'll fucking smoke you like a cigar. And you know I will. Because you're listening to the rap, and you're like, this guy would fucking chew me up. I'm just going to leave a sentence here, and then I'm going to go. Or I'm just going to troll, but you don't have any real staying power. You're like an onion. That's it. You stink like shit. You make me cry. Moving on. Watch this.
Is everyone press?
We're over 90. We're all members of the press. We're all press here. Okay. This officer appears to be bleeding from the mouth. Oh my God. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Says he's all right.
So the guy was bleeding from the nose and bleeding from the mouth. Whether he took a projectile in the mouth and face or not, I have no idea. I wasn't there. He is wearing a mask. He is holding a firearm. We see that. And a rifle. And he is staggered. Oh, Tommy Cawthon calls. Well, Tommy always has balls, and that's fine. Tommy, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Matt, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much, brother. What do you want to talk about?
Man, talking about this guy with carrying his gun into a situation.
Yeah.
We tell everyone to use common sense and don't do anything to put yourself in a bad situation when you're carrying your firearm.
Right. Right. It's to get you home. It's not to get you even. It's to get you home.
That's it.
It's to get you home, man.
Just going in and fighting with law enforcement is a fool's move.
Yeah.
If you have a firearm on you.
Correct.
So
you're right, Tom.
100%.
You're right, buddy. Hey, what lies am I telling since you are a licensed firearm dealer and concealed carry holder? What have I gotten wrong so far, Tom?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure that other guy was full of shit and you agreed with me. Thanks, buddy.
So, but no, I just wanted to say that because, yes, you can go to a protest, but you're not allowed to be the person violent because it's just common sense. You're going to end up getting yourself killed because they're going to see a gun and everybody's going to freak out.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I can't disagree with you, Tom. Can't disagree with you all, buddy.
So it's just stupid, but I just wanted to come in and say that.
All right.
So far, I haven't seen any lies, man. Keep up the good work.
All right. You be safe, Tommy. Thanks, Bubba. Todd's back. Thanks, buddy. Todd's back. LOL. God, anyone who starts a sentence with LOL. Lots of us. 4.1 GPA, thousands of gay friends, thousands of black friends, 100,000 hired by you, Izzo. Then you criticize me? Fuck you. Fuck you, Todd. First of all, I don't care what your GPA is. If you peaked in high school, that's on you. I really don't care. And if you think that a GPA translates into actual street smarts and book smarts correlate to that, you're completely wrong. The second thing that you said, what else did you say? God, you said some stupid shit. Thousands of gay friends. Bro, I worked at Apple, okay? All right? You see my little tattoo? See my little Apple tattoo? It's the first tattoo I ever got. And I got it with my team when I went through training. Yeah. So 5 stores, buddy. What do you want? You think I have marched in 3 gay pride parades. How about you? Can you imagine a guy like me, bearded, white, tattooed, military, Christian, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, marching with a bunch of people at a gay pride parade? Wow, I must have fit in like a sore thumb. But I tell you, I did wear my chaps that day. They were assless, my friend. So you have thousands of gay friends? Great. What does that mean? So? Who cares? I've got 364,873 friends of every race, color, creed, sexual disposition, religion, big dick, small dick, sit, peeing down, up. Who cares? What does it mean? So you're popular. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Thousands of black friends? I think I've got one. I think. 100,000 hired by you, Izzo. I don't know what Izzo means. You've hired 100,000 people? Great. In my entire tenure in retail, working for 3 Fortune 15 companies, I've interviewed and hired over 30,000 people. Does that make me special? No. Then you criticize me? I criticize you for the way you're coming at me. I criticize you for the way you talk to me. I criticize you for going ahead and saying that I'm lying or saying some bullshit that I'm not, that I'm gaslighting people when you probably don't even know how to use the term properly. Francis donated $2. God blessings for all who gather here. Thanks, Francis. So that's what I take umbrage with. It's certainly not your disposition or how many friends you have or who has the biggest dick in the room. It's the fact that you're a disrespectful, disingenuous little douche plow. And I'm going to slap you around until you either learn some manners or get the fuck out of my chat. This isn't your typical channel, bro. I interact with the audience. So if you're going to come here and try to sling dicks with me, you're going to lose. Because I'm better at this than you. I promise you. I can already tell. My liberal kung fu is way too strong. So take that and complain to your fucking HR department. So, looking at the rest of this with this guy. Listen to this.
Is everyone PD? That's my question for the press.
Okay,
Where is the local PD?
What's your message to the local PD, sir?
No.
Okay.
Well, the mayor.
Very chaotic.
Sir, while you're getting messages, what would your message to the protesters that want you out be?
Yeah, stop hurting ICE.
Press conference with the-
As long as you're getting
No
comments,
comment.
do you have any comments
Please
to the
get
people that want you
back
out?
up. Back up. Please give me some room. It's
Does anyone know what it's like to have a broken nose? Now, does anyone know what it's like to have a broken nose in 0-degree weather? It is probably one of the most uncomfortable and painful experiences of your life because you can't breathe through your nose because it's literally dripping blood to the back of your throat and clogging your windpipe. And then you're sucking through a giant gulp of frozen air into your throat. He probably couldn't breathe. Then you have the fact that he has to wear that stupid mask because all of those reporters will dox him and his family will be killed by leftist protesters. So maybe you could give him a little respect and just get the hell back. But see, this is the problem. You guys think they're brainless automatons. You think they're just a tool, that they're an emergency and break in case of use. These are people. They have families. They have emotions. They've been in the military. They've been police officers, and they're doing something that's pretty thankless. And let's be completely honest, they are public enemy and target number one. This is why my friend can't freaking go ahead and come down to my house. This is why my friend can't come down here and sit on the show, because if he shows his face, he's going to expose himself. But he wants to, and he wants to talk, and he wants to say what's been going on, but he can't. And this is why you see people on ICE literally hide themselves, because of these crazy, crazy people. This guy's doing a job, and this is after they tore apart the store, broke vending machines, went after a business. We have the video here. But this is what happens. And the reason why is because you're about to see it. Here is a woman with their child. Where did Todd go? I thought he was going to call in. Tara says, it's so ironic to me that protesters treat them less than human, yet the protesters want to be coddled. Isn't that the truth? Oh, we have a wireless caller, and I don't recognize this phone number. This should be good. Hi, you've reached the Don't Unfriend Me show. What do you want to talk about?
Brother. Hey, I couldn't come on tonight, but I did want to let you know that not only was I tuned in, but that per normal, our opinions align perfectly.
Great.
And I just really wish the rest of the world could understand that, you know, this dude's actions, Alex, his bringing a firearm to a protest, probably not the smartest decision. And he did, in fact, become a felon the moment he intervened with ICE agents. You know, he immediately put himself in that category.
Yes.
Then the flip side of that is I'm smart enough to know, okay, ICE probably wasn't, my humble opinion, and I'm sure this will come out later in court, but my humble opinion is ICE probably, that was an overreaction. They killed a dude who probably didn't need to be killed.
Overreaction. You know what? I'm gonna take out overreaction, and I'm going to just add the word unnecessary.
Yes. Yes.
But it was unnecessary because this is what I think took place. When you know what tunnel vision is. Are you ex-military? Who is this? I know your voice. I can't.
Dude,
who is this?
It's Leroy.
Oh, it is Leroy. Jeez, you sound nothing like when you're on the phone. You never do. You always sound different. My God, I was
it's
like
my Barry White golden voice. I know.
Holy shit, Leroy! You don't sound anything like yourself than you are on the show. It's ridiculous. You did this on the Eric Erickson show. I was like, who the fuck is that? Like,
yeah.
Leroy. All right. Yeah. So here we go. Let's do this. So this is Leroy. This is a co-host of the show, and I've known him for fucking 5 years, and I didn't even know it was him because I can't even hear him. But I'm like, this guy he's sharp. I like this guy. All right. So here's the thing. I would just say unnecessary because in a situation like this, you've been outside the wire enough, at least maybe not in full active combat, but you've been in high stress situations that you get tunnel vision.
Absolutely.
You get tunnel vision during these situations. And
absolutely.
I believe the officer that was behind, we broke this down on Saturday. He saw the firearm and saw it removed. But when when that much input and sensory overload with whistles and screaming and a fight and ice and balancing and foggy goggles and a baklava across your face, you see that firearm and you want to go home to your mom and you want to go home to your kids and you want to go home to your wife and you scream, gun, 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 and you pull.
Right.
A negligent discharge is possible. which created a cataclysmic event. But here's the thing. I don't even think it was an ND. I think he pulled and shot, and then because he continued to shoot afterwards. In his mind, the way it processed in that just fractions of seconds was an overload, and he saw gun. And I can tell you, listen to me, folks, this is why you go and shoot dummies. This is why you go through and you go on green team and you go ahead and you run an op over and over and over, and you do it in a confined space in a CQB with airsoft weapons. Then you move up to go ahead and use just blanks. Then you go ahead and you move up to a lower caliber weapon, and you slowly introduce more danger into situations so you can learn in high intensity moments how to slow the situation down and make split second decisions when there is no time to make that decision. And I will say that this is probably a training issue too.
Yeah, absolutely. But and my point more so was one of I'm watching the news, I'm looking at all of the posts all over social media, and it seems like everybody is immediately running to take sides. And and I think your point, spot on, and mine is too, is that they can both be wrong.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Like this was a guy who went to go protest, did so and put himself in harm's way. That was wrong. And then the ICE agent, maybe he didn't process the information correctly. I'm not sure what the training issue potentially was, but was at an error? And I would say, yeah, absolutely. So I'm saying that it's okay to say, look, both sides are wrong here. You know,
both sides have culpability because in every situation, there's a learning experience. It comes down to this. There's only one true wrong here, which caused this. And that was Alex Pretty, whatever, going to this with an effort to interfere with a constitutionally protected federal operation. That is what caused this. That's it.
Absolutely.
If he just would have stayed home that day, then this wouldn't have happened. If he just would have protested on the sideline and not get involved, and all he had to say, hands up, officer, I apologize. I didn't mean to get too hot. I am carrying. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get killed. What do I need to do? Tell me where to go from here.
Right.
That's it. That's all you had to do.
Exactly.
Ash
and
says hello, Leroy. Ash says hello, by the way.
I love that dog. And instead, him injecting himself into that situation, he went immediately from potentially a peaceful protester. I'm sure that's what he went down there for. I am 1,000% that his intentions were genuine.
Yeah.
But the moment he intervened and injected himself into that volatile situation,
that's right. That
made him guilty of at least 3 different USC codes. 157, 1335, and 111. And you're like, if you hadn't have done that, if you'd have just, don't go to those events. And if you do, keep your distance. I get that everyone wants to film. Everyone thinks that they're a podcaster with a camera phone these days. I understand that. But what you have to do is give the federal agents enough room to work so that you don't potentially become a victim.
Yeah, that's it. It's a great take, and it's a balanced take, and it's the right take.
Yep.
All
right.
That's it.
Love you, brother. I'm going to go. I'm going to keep watching you.
All right, Bubby. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, man. Yep.
So I'm getting the question, Matt, if the ICE agent was on active duty, and say was an active duty military police officer performing gate guard duty, what level of UCMJ punishment do you think he would receive? That depends. It really depends. What are we accusing of the guard of doing? That's what I need to know. What is the charge that you're going to throw him? Anonymous donated $25. Let's get it going, dummies. Matt, thanks for taking care of Livy. Feel better, Liv. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the donation. We need all we can get. So it depends. So help me. And this is a hypothetical, so I need some more variables. What are we assuming? That the guard did that and shot him the way that we think that this ICE officer did without a negligent discharge, that it was a intentional shot selection and then repeated shot selection at the time? Is that what we're saying? I'll answer your question, but you got to let me know what the parameters are. Sandy Season says, that's definitely what I thought also. Over the top reaction. He made a decision carrying bad decision carrying to a peaceful protest. He put himself and others in danger because of the reasons they were all there against ICE. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to say this to Todd. Todd, listen, I'm all about, all I want you to do is just, show a little modicum of respect. But calling me a gaslighter is ridiculous. I mean, that's stupid. There's not anything I said that was incorrect. If you can go ahead and tell me what it is, I'll be shocked. Oh, God, balls. Not only does he hate Jews, he hates ICE. I have a sneaking suspicion that Balls is a liberal, a lefty. All right, so here we go. Help me with that, with the military police question, and I'll do what I can to answer your question. But I need more information. Here is this lady. She's a white woman, and she has her child. And I just want you to watch what she does, and creating another generation of people who absolutely don't trust authority, don't trust the law, and have cynicism and derision towards them. Here it is.
Stop telling me I gotta calm down. You're not mad enough. You're not mad enough. How many heads are gonna have to hit the...
It's really hard to watch. I know.
Then why are you showing it to your child? If it's hard to watch, why not show him something else? Well, because there's life lessons to be learned. Okay, that's fair. I'm down. I'm completely okay now. If you want this to be a cathartic moment or a palpable moment, Todd, I'm sorry too. I didn't mean to go after you. I've recognized your name. I was really surprised to see you come at me. You can't call me a gaslighter. It's just rude, dude. It's just like in this business, you might as well drop in the N-bomb. I mean, for a podcaster calling me a gaslighter, and I'm not gaslighting anybody. This conversation's honest. I'm giving you the straight poop. I'm giving you the ups and downs and all arounds. But if you're going to educate, then educate and be the adult in the room. Don't program the child to react because of you. You've seen this video, lady. If any good parent, I guarantee you watched it first. So your reaction is setting this child up. If you want to really see how this child reacts to this, let him react to it. Let him process it. Here's the rest.
I don't know why they do that, but I think they shot him out of rage.
Does it look like he posed a threat?
No.
Why are people telling different stories?
MAGA will do anything to make sure that ICE is,
Listen to the language, MAGA. By the way, with Ball's research on you, seems like he has a crush on you. What do you mean, research on me? I don't understand what you mean by research. Here's the rest.
Seen as innocence.
Federal officers are on the American streets executing U.S. citizens.
Their mission isn't trying to get the immigrants back. It's trying to hurt everybody that they can.
Do you think I should be held accountable for the things they do that are bad?
Yes.
I am in awe of this man. His name is Alex Preddy. He's an intensive care unit nurse. He saves people's lives every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lakin Riley was also a nursing student. What does that have to do with anything? Just because you're a nurse doesn't mean you get to obstruct justice. Doesn't mean you get to go ahead and hit the police. It doesn't mean you get to go ahead and resist arrest. That's just not the way this works. I'm sorry, folks. We're a nation of laws. And either we agree with it or what would happen to you if you did that? You'd be in jail. What are you kidding? What are you joking me? What would you do? What do you think would happen to you if you did that? Go do me a favor. Next traffic stop you get out of the car. Approach the cop. After he pepper sprays you and calls up backup, and you got 4 of them on you and you're carrying a firearm, keep continuing to get up. And when they disarm you, reach back. You're going to get shot. And even if you don't do that, you're still going to go to jail. Why is it rules for thee and not for me? Why is it rules for thee and not for me? Todd, I got no problem with you, brother. I've never had a problem with you. I know who you are. I just can't believe. Listen, you know who I am, bro. And if I jump to conclusions and didn't understand what you're saying, but when you say be honest, please tell me how I'm not being honest. Do me the consideration and show me the little bit of respect by telling me how I'm not being honest, right? Because, I put myself out there and I know a lot of you. So I tend to care about the field, right? I care about the people in this chat. So when you come back and say, you know, you're gaslighting people, be honest. I am being honest. I don't know how to be more honest than I already am. In fact, I think I'm being the most based person so far, minus a couple other videos I'm going to show you. You know what I mean? Matt, I see it's women in combat situation. These libs feel like they're at war with ICE. The man stepped in to protect women that obviously had been doing too much involving herself in ICE operation. He got himself into a situation playing hero, and the rest is history. What he did was obstruct justice. What he did was an impeded investigation. He impeded a federal officer from doing their job. That woman violated that officer's space and physically assaulted him. And the moment that he went ahead and got involved, he was aiding and abetting a crime. That's it. It's just plain simple. I don't care if he was being chivalrous. I don't give a crap. If my wife walked up and slapped a cop, do you think I'm going to go up there and get in with the cop? I'm like, honey, what the fuck are you doing? You just slapped an officer. What I'm going to try to do is from afar is calm her down. Liv, calm down. Chill. Listen to the man. Sir, she didn't mean to. You know what? You get your ass out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to back up. Now, if there's somebody physically attacking, like, give me a break. I'm not going to do these scenarios, these what-if scenarios. If my wife slapped an officer, I am going to be like, what in the Sam hell are you doing? Why are you guys shocked? Oh, this is just like he just was selling rainbow cupcakes on the curb. That he was having a bake sale, that he had a lemonade stand. Give me a break. The guy was instigating and he was inciting violence. I'm sorry. When you resist, when you fight a cop, when you push a cop, you're going to jail. That's just it. And then he didn't want to go to jail. So he fought. Oh, he had pepper spray in his eye. Yeah, that should have been his first warning to get on the ground and spread out. Because trust me, you know, I even heard Dom say the same thing. Well, you know, you have pepper spray in your eyes and lay flat. We have. We all did it in the military. We got commands in there when we were literally sucking this stuff down. So did you, Dom. He didn't have to be there. He didn't have to be. Why was he pepper sprayed? Okay, end of the story. He didn't have to get pepper sprayed if he wouldn't have done the things he did. This is just like Michael Brown. This is just like Trayvon Martin. This is just like George Floyd. All of it's the same. Just comply. Stop this attitude that you get to litigate what you're accused of during the arrest. That's not the time. You have the Fourth Amendment. You have the Fifth Amendment. Habeas corpus will take place. You will receive due process. You will be Mirandized. You will have a chance to speak with a lawyer. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have the right to be a complete asshole and fight cops. That's it. It's not about the gun. It's not about where he works. It does, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is this guy broke the law and he refused to comply. That's it. The gun wouldn't even have mattered if he just would have said, officer, I'm carrying. I have a legal permit. I left my license at home. My hands are on my head. What do you want me to do? That's all he had to do. It was over, done, zilch, zada, nothing. That's not what he did he? And we know he didn't do that because we saw the video. Okay, Nomad says, assume the guard performing gate guard duty and simply saw the weapon in the car of a person trying to drive onto base, and the guard shot as pulling the person from the car. Well, that's not the same situation. Because you're talking about a situation that does not have 7 to 8 other guys involved. You don't have whistles going on. It's not 0 degrees. You haven't been out there all frickin' day. Maybe he didn't eat. You don't have the sensory overload that's taking place. You don't have mace and pepper spray in the air. You don't have goggles that are steamed up. You don't have a baklava across your face. There's a lot of variables that you're not talking about. So in that situation, that guy should go to prison. And under articles, I mean, you got 92, you got 118, you got 119, 132. I mean, he's going to get cooked. But that's not what happened. So I won't play hypothetical with a situation that's not even remotely close to what just took place. You know what I mean? I understand where you're going with it. But there's also a higher level of a standard in the military as well. But if you tell me that a man tried to get onto a base with a firearm and brandished that firearm and was killed by an MP, nothing would happen to him at all. At all. And you and I both know that. But if a guy has a firearm in the front seat and he tries to bring it onto the base, he's probably going to get drawn down on. Different rules, different standards on a base. You know this. Just a different situation. Jim Jones did a lot of good stuff, but that isn't an excuse for what the man did. Ted Bundy worked in suicide hotline. Yeah. He was a horrible man. Yeah. All of this is true. All of these things. Everything you guys are saying is true. Matt, if Olivia ever slapped a cop, it would be because he had it coming. That's probably true. You're going to be making bail for Olivia. Not if we don't get some donations. It's $25 so far. Come on, this is a good night. I know you guys like it when I'm solo and it's fun and you guys forget about it, but we got to continue to keep the pot moving. He should have just stayed away from that situation. That's correct, Jacqueline. Absolutely. That's it. It just do something else. Here's the rest of this bullcock.
And he was doing what he does every day and helping her. And because of it, he lost his lives.
When you look back in time to only a few decades ago, in 1940s, Gestapo, it's not very different.
You know what the Second Amendment is?
It's not very different. Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand that the Gestapo literally would take people, they would bag them, they would cuff them, they would interrogate them, they would punish them, they would keep them up all hours of the night, multiple levels of interrogation. If people did not comply, they were summarily shot in the back of the head and killed, buried in the back on a cart, and taken to some unknown field. If they didn't get what they wanted from the person, they would bring in other family members and summarily execute them, rape them, cut off their fingers, whatever they could to use any tactics they could in interrogation. They would put electrodes on their testicles. They would make small incisions on areas of their body with burlap sacks and put rats inside. And it's my understanding that the Gestapo never really relocated anyone to another country on their dime. And they certainly didn't give them an option to relocate. The Gestapo was a military police force which responsibility was to single-handedly hunt down as many Jewish people or supporters or enablers that they possibly could and do whatever was necessary to find more. And they were rated on how many they caught and killed. How in the fuck are you comparing ICE to the Gestapo? And why are you trivializing? I'm German. My great uncle was Albert Speer. Look it up. And if you don't think it's him and you think I'm lying, I'll show you a picture of Albert and then I'll show you a picture of my dad and you come see me in 30 years and I'll look just like him too. And then you'll be like, holy shit, Matt's not lying. But you've also got the Jewish blood in me too from my grandma Schwartz. So I have an opinion on both sides. I've got the Jewish perspective that fled in 1938, and I've got the whole Nazi bullshit in my lineage too. And if you think that's bad, you should see how many people, what my great grandparents had as far as slaves. Great. And that ain't very good either. So there's a whole line of it in my family. But you don't get to sit here and tell me that ICE is like the Gestapo. This is not the same thing. In fact, it's nothing even remotely close to it. Olivia says it's a slow night. It's a slow night. Yes, well, it's a busy night. People are here. It's freaking hopping right now. But we're struggling on donations. Who put that in his head? Well, of course they did it together. The mother programmed him. The mother told him what to say. You know, when I have my daughter and son on, it's always ad lib. We don't tell them what to say. We don't tell them we're going to do this video. I mean, if you're going to teach kids and you're going to go ahead and remove them from the level of innocence that you are supposed to protect them to keep, then it better be for a good reason. And it better not be for some canned BS that you taught this kid about 1940s Gestapo. But you didn't teach him about 2020 to 2024 Biden. And you didn't teach him from 2006 to 2012 Barack Obama. And you didn't teach him about the 94 stricken executive orders to protect the border. And you didn't teach him about progressive DAs. And you didn't teach him about the lessening of mandatory sentences. And you didn't teach him about cashless bail. And you didn't teach him about fentanyl. And you didn't teach them about illicit drugs coming over here. And you didn't care about the 300,000 kids that were sexually trafficked or missing that were separated at the border from their parents. You didn't care about any of that. So don't sit here and tell me that you're just going to take a piece of history you know nothing about, that you didn't live through, that you know absolutely have never even read a book on, but you watch Schindler's List and somehow you're a freaking expert, and try to espouse to that child that a federal agency that does not have kill orders, that does not have gas camps, that's not using Zyklon B, that's not literally burning people alive in crematoriums, has anything remotely to do with the Gestapo. Maybe. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could do that. Give me a break. Give me a break. Just stop the bullshit. These children are going to start asking questions someday and going to come to the realization of two things: that mommy is a liar and a nutter, or they're going to believe you. And both are equally horrible, because we need our mothers. Someone who lost mine very early in life because of her mental state, which is absolutely a nut job, I can attest. The matriarch is needed to keep the family just like the patriarch is. And we can't fill our kids full of this nonsense because they don't need to be a part of it right now. They're going to be exposed to it every single minute of every single day for the rest of their lives, because social media and phones have literally taken over our entire lives. People spend 8 hours a day on this thing. We can't compete with that, and our kids can't compete. So before you program children with shit like that, you better teach them the truth. You better show them the real things. And you better make sure that correlation and causation is not the way to process information. Causation does not equal correlation, and correlation does not equal causation. The thing that unveils the cause are the systematic groups of logically disseminated events that bring you to a conclusion with certainty. That is the only thing that you should be doing. Angela Hills, donate $25. Thanks for another great show. You got it, Angela. We love you. Todd, I see it. We're good, dude. We're good. We're good. I'm sorry for coming at you so hard. It's only been a weekend of me playing liberal kung fu. Whoa. I'm just fired up. So I apologize I came at you so hard. Sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. I can be a man enough to admit it. I'm a little sensitive. Watch this. Tommy Cawthon donated $10. Come on, dummies. If we all give a little, Matt can buy a yogurt. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
You weak bitch! Let him through! 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 Go get him! Go get the car! Fuck you! Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back up. Oh, back up. Back up.
Hey, I got a question. Just, I'm going to do those annoying little things. And unlike Candace Owens, this won't be something off the wall like I had a dream about Charlie Kirk and therefore he was assassinated by his wife. Here's my question. If ICE really are the Gestapo, if they're truly the SS, if they are Nazis, if they truly, 5199, Tommy Austin, a note to the leftist, John 832, and you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. Tommy Austin. Love you, buddy. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for that donation. That helps out a lot, Bubba. So, if they are the SS, if they're the murdering Gestapo, if there's fields of bodies and missing families and children who are being taken out of their homes. It's driving me crazy. Oh, shit. Better. You guys thought that was real fire, didn't you? Can you imagine if we were on some like Amazonian tribe in the forest and I did that? They'd just be like, oh, he make fire by push button. He's got big wampum. I don't think Amazons would be talking like that. Anyway, so the point is, if all this is true, they're the murdering Gestapo, they're the stormtroopers, then why are you screwing with them? And if you are screwing with them, then why aren't you completely armed and firing? Why are you taking the risk? Why aren't you completely armed? And why don't you have a forward operating base? And why are you not in open combat? Because if the Gestapo was trying to take my family and kill him, you damn Skippy, I would arm myself. So why are you in there with sticks and kafayas? Why are you all wearing kafayas? Why are you promoting Hamas and the PLO? Why are you promoting a terrorist group? Why are you all wearing kafayas? A ceremonial robe for terrorists. Why? Because they aren't the Gestapo. And there is no threat. You're just upset. And you want anyone to blame. So you're going to blame everyone and anyone you can, and you are looking for a cause. You are a rebel without a cause. Give me a break. Give me a break. These are the scariest people ever. So we're just going to go ahead and antagonize them without weapons. Okay. All righty, Dad. Sounds good. Here is the firearm that we told you about. So a lot of people are saying, hey, is this possible that this firearm went off? I want to explain this again. I explained this on the Saturday show. This model doesn't have this problem. This is a different model than what we just saw. But this is a macro P365X. And if you look at the 320, when you do this, and you can hear this, there's a little bit of give here. Not much. But on the 320, if you have a round that's racked that fast, and round is in the chamber, and you depress the trigger, I'm going to break some rules here. I'm going to put my finger on the trigger. I don't intend to fire. There's tension at about that mark. Ready? I'm going to show it to you from the inside. Tension. Now, it would take a pound or two for me to go ahead and push in order for this to fire. There's your fire. But with the 320, there's a flaw. And if you have a round chambered, and this engagement right here is just even lightly pressed. Lightly pressed. So you brush the trigger, gets on a belt loop, whatever it would be. And you initiate this. It goes off. And what happens is that there is a retention spring here, and that retention spring actually has a very small hook like this that latches in. And when you pull this trigger and that click happens, that's your striker, but you also have that retention spring lets go. And you get, that's what cycles the weapon. That's what actually has the weapon go back and forth and starts the gas from moving this back and forth. The problem with that is that the 320, when that happens, could be coming out of a very tight holster. And if you brush that trigger even an eighth of an inch, it could go off. And we've had negligent discharges with 320s, and there's people who've reported them. And you've seen them on firing lines, and you've seen them in self-defense courses. And you've seen them multiple times. And it's documented, well documented. Here is the video that will show you that right here. Watch.
put some input into the slide somewhere, will it go off again? Will it release? Let's see. That's 3 in a row. Let me take the screw out.
Well, you had to put a screw in the trigger housing, and we understand that. What he's trying to demonstrate, so he doesn't, get powder burns, because he's using firing caps, or just rounds with black powder in it, but no lead, no bullet, is that he slightly puts that screw there to show you what a compression would be on that trigger and what it would cause. Here's the rest.
Number 4. Let's try it again. Let me show you. Fully functioning striker safety. All right. Should we do it with the magazine again? Let's put the magazine back in, and then we'll try the last one with the magazine out. Handy dandy trigger input tool. We are going to try to, dang, sorry about that. I'm trying to get over a sinus thing and a cough. We're going to try to simulate All right, here we go. Again, we are roughly, as we saw on the tabletop, I'm guessing we're roughly 1 millimeter to less than 1 millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see if we can get it to go off again.
So let's be honest. Okay, SIG is one of the best firearms ever made, and I have used SIGs. I've used Glock. I own all. People get mad at me, especially when I go into a firearms store and they go, "Well, what's your preferred model?" I said, "I don't care. I shoot with everything." Like Smith & Wesson, M&P, Glock, SIG, HK. I'm like, I own them all. I own them all because I want to be able to shoot with everything. And like a guitar, I like the way certain guns feel. I like the recoil in certain guns. I like the action on certain guns. I like the balance in certain guns. Isaac Castillo, Democrats go to sleep when their candidate becomes POTUS. They wake up only to riot and they get told to. We could set your watch by that crowd when feigning outrage becomes an ideology. Absolutely. So what are my preferred weapons that I love to shoot more than any others? My SIG. Love my SIG. I love my HK VP9 and VP40. CJ Jenkins donated $21.10. I hope Miss Olivia feels better soon. Great show as always. Thank you. Love you. You're the best. Halfway to goal, folks. Good job. We'll put up the clock in a second. I love my SIG and I love my Glocks. Love them all. But you don't need an expensive rig to be effective, and some firearms are better than others. Nothing wrong with an M&P. They're fantastic weapons. Just take care of them. So my finding is that mags are just as important as the firearm itself. And if you have a shitty mag and you don't take care of your equipment, then that's usually the malfunctions that you receive. And some guns jam more than ever. I've never had a jam. Everyone says Glock's jammed. I've never had a jam on my Glock, ever, not once. Nope. I never had a misfire cycle issues. Actually, that's not true. I had mine on my Gen 3 California 10-round edition, piece of shit California edition. That thing did. But that was probably my action more than anything, because when I racked it, I don't think I got a good grip. It was a bad cycle. But it doesn't matter. The point is that SIG does a great job. And I happen to know a couple ambassadors for SIG. I went to SHOT Show with a couple people from SIG. Eli Crane worked at SIG as an ambassador. He's SEAL Team 3. He's been on the show. He's also a state legislature for District 1 in Arizona. And I'll tell you that they've voluntarily recalled these things, and they've made changes and fixes to it. But there are models out there that have never been recalled, and ultimately, in that perfect situation, it fired. This is not what happened. I don't believe that's what happened in any way, shape, or form. No, I don't. Okay? That's it. So the firearm would have been jostled while it was in the holster and ready to pop when removed, only if he depressed the trigger. But see, that has to happen individually. We're going to make this safe. So he would have had to have pulled and then depressed trigger, had the trigger depressed when he pulled. And you and I both know in those vinyl cases that trigger is not exposed for that exact reason. So he would have been along the trigger, along the actual outside of his holster. Finger in the right position. And unless he pulled and then immediately depressed trigger and then jostled, but then it would have hit him in the foot. You see him pull, come up, and pop like this. And he's kind of at an angle. He fires right away. Like he could not fire. First of all, you can tell by training, he fired so fast. He blind fired. He pulled and fired. If it was a negligent discharge and he put his finger and he just got his glove wasn't fitting in there and he didn't check it and he shoved it in and then depressed, it's possible. If it was a modified firearm and he has a low retention trigger, custom trigger, pound and a half, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. We don't know. But the point is he pulled with the intent to bring his firearm in a position to fire, because that's, you don't pull unless you plan on doing that. With 7 guys, you're not going to freeze. You know, you're going to fire. His intention was to fire either way. The point is, was the initial shot ND, and he was thinking of stopping? Like, wait a second, did I see that right? I don't think that's the case. I think he pulled to fire. And either way, he ND'd and then rectified by emptying multiple rounds into the assailant, or no. I don't know. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. This is not a standard P320. This was custom. He had a modified barrel in there. He had threaded barrel in there. He had a lower that was different. There were many differences. But the lower has nothing to do with the trigger mechanism except for the spring release. And that's what that trigger does. It just releases that and boom. So they're going to find out in that investigation. Okay. All right. Good talk. Let's move on. CNN polling on deportations. You want to watch this? We're going to hit 365,000 here, folks. We are halfway to goal. I'm going to put up the clock, and here you go.
Sometimes I like blunt questions because they sort of get at the underlying feelings that people have. So this is about as blunt a question as you can get. Deport all immigrants here illegally. I will note the ABC News poll asked about undocumented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these were all taken within the last month. And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see. You see real uniformity. Deport all immigrants who are here illegally. 55% of the New York Times. Marquette, 64%. CBS News, 57%. ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters. Feelings towards immigration in this country, feelings towards undocumented immigrants and deporting all of them have become considerably more hawkish. And I think that gives Donald Trump much more leverage to go with the American people and sort of have these hawkish, some might say harsh, different rhetoric and also issue-based.
All right, so we know because he won the election. Donald Trump doesn't need permission to do what he was given a mandate to do. I'm sorry. He won the House. He won the Senate. He won the presidency. He established SCOTUS. They won the gubernatorial. They won the mayoral races. Enough. He had a mandate. Shut up. He's doing his job. And you may not like it, but Donald Trump today, listen, everything you guys, I see all the questions. I've already got it all. It's all right here, the whole show. I'm not going anywhere until we get it done. So help us hit goal, and I'll keep going. But that shows you clear as day that Americans want illegals out of our country. They see what's going on in Europe. They know. They see what's happening in Canada. Countries are losing their identity. Do you think that most Americans hate this anti-America rhetoric? Do you think that they like it? Do you think they like these people? Do you think they like the protesters? Did you guys hear that in the national anthem in Minnesota at a hockey game, they tried to go ahead and recognize Preddy, and people were guffawing and catcalling him? They don't care. Just because you see a large contingency of people harassing ICE, a few hundred people, and just because you have a bunch of shitheads on X and Facebook, that's not real life. That's not real life. Are people are glad that this guy got killed? No. Do they want to lynch ICE? No. We understand that things happen. We've seen these things. We've seen these tragedies before. And when I say tragedy, I'm not sitting here going, oh, it's a tragedy that an American died. I didn't know the guy. And sure, I don't wish for anyone to die. I don't wish for anyone to be harmed, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that somehow this is tragic to my existence. It's not. I'm not going to pretend that. But I can also look at it from a very granular position and say that I can see both sides of the argument. And until you've done the job of ICE, which most of you haven't, you don't get to sit here and judge it and expect to be taken seriously. You can judge it. You can do whatever you want. It's America. But don't expect to be taken seriously unless you've been downrange. Don't expect to take it seriously unless you've been in open fire and open combat, unless you've run a protest or you've run a counter protest or you've been in any hostile situation that your life depends on it. Unless you have, then you just don't know what you're talking about. You can't possibly fathom what these guys go through. You can't possibly fathom the hours they go through. If you think that you have the wherewithal to be an ICE agent, I want you to go put on a boot or two. I want you to go ahead and put on some Carhartt or tactical clothing. I want you to go ahead and put on an undershirt. I want you to put on a level 4, level 5 ballistics vest. I want you to go ahead and put a shirt over that. I then want you to go ahead and put on your outer wear, thermal. I then want you to put on your tactical gear. I then want you to go ahead and put on your vest, which has your extra magazines, your identification, your walkie hooks, and everything else. I want you to go ahead and put a belt around you, which has your flashlight, your mace, and other mags, and your firearm. I want you to go ahead and put on ear coverings, and I want you to put on a balaclava. I want you to put on goggles, and I want you to put on a helmet. And I just want you to go outside, and I want you to stand there in 0-degree weather for 3 hours. I want you to do that for 3 hours. I bet you quit in 20 minutes. These guys go do it for 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours a day. They're tired. They miss their families. They're getting yelled at. They're getting spit on. They're getting screamed at. They're getting depraved and degenerates are just absolutely shitting on them, throwing dog shit at them, cat piss at them, bottles, bricks, fireworks, biting them, scratching them, kicking them, spitting on them, calling them every name in the fucking book. And then when it comes down to D-Day, you expect these people not to make mistakes? Fuck you. It's your own fault. Get out of the situation. You went there, you looked for it, you found it. The old saying is true, folks. If you go looking for trouble, it's always going to find you. You go looking for trouble, it's going to find you. You go digging for shit, you're going to find it. You go digging for dirt, you're going to find that too. It's just the way it works. Here's the moderate approach. Listen to this. This guy's actually got his shit together. Listen to this.
You want, I don't really care, but Americans voted for stricter immigration enforcement, and the candidate who explicitly promised mass deportations won the election. And it wasn't hidden, it wasn't accidental, it wasn't vague. No, it was very clear.
World Radio donated $5 through Super Chat. What's Tim Walz's culpability in this, since he asked citizens to confront and resist wasn't an easily foreseeable outcome? Yeah, I'm going to cover that too. Good call. By the way, Charlie Kirk hoodie right over there. Go to the Donut Friendly store, buy some coffee, buy some shirts, buy some hats, buy everything. Store has been killing it lately, and I thank you all for your support. Here you go.
Or campaign promise. That's a fact. Now, the second fact is that opposition to enforcement and ICE did not start with Renee Good. These activists have been in the streets interfering with ICE operations for months. That is a fact. Third fact, interfering with federal agents carrying out lawful operations is illegal. Fact number 4, federal officers are not required to stop doing their jobs because protesters disagree with the policy. Fact number 5, when activists block, surround, or physically interfere with agents, they are escalating the situation. That doesn't mean they don't have a right to be there. It doesn't mean they don't have a right to protest, but they have to do so in a legal and responsible manner. Next fact, that puts everyone in danger, including the officers, the bystanders, and whoever the person being detained is. Next fact, if activists did not interfere with enforcement, fewer volatile confrontations would happen. Protest is illegal. That is a fact. Obstruction is not. That is a fact. You can protest on the sidewalk, you can hold signs, you can chant, you can scream. You just don't get to physically stop law enforcement from executing a democratically enacted policy. And that's what I want to hammer down here, is that this is what the people of America voted for. And
Don says, wore my CK hoodie out to dinner tonight. Very warm and cozy. Man, our hoodies rock. I wore this out in 0. And pulled bags off all my plants and shoveled. And I was fine. These hoodies are warm as hell. What's great also is that when you got a fire going, it's not like you're sweating through. They're amazing. They're great hoodies. I've never worn a hoodie like this. I hate hoodies. I can't stand them. I like to show off my muscles. You know what I'm saying? I work hard for this shit. I like to show off the muscles. But man, I love my hoodies and I wear them all the time. They are so cozy. Like right now, I am happier than a pig in shit. I got my camo slippers on. I've got my flex stretch pants on right now that are super warm. And I've got my hoodie and I've got my black condor hat. I'm ready to go. I am ready to go. Glad you like your hoodie.
Time and time again, attempt to prevent the enforcement of what the American people voted for is literally subverting the will of the voters. And this is explicitly and solely being done by the party who screams about freedom and democracy. Fact, elections have consequences even when you don't like the outcome. That goes for both parties. Law enforcement didn't create this policy, they are just tasked with enforcing it. That is a fact. And blaming officers for carrying out lawful orders while ignoring the role of activists who deliberately inject themselves into enforcement actions is dishonest. Civil disobedience is a choice, but consequences are not optional. You don't get to demand that the state enforce laws selectively based on political pressure or in alignment with your ideology. The rule of law either applies consistently or it doesn't apply at all. Now, you're not going to be able to point out a single thing that I just said there that was not a fact. However, you are going to find millions upon millions of people who don't agree. And you might ask why, and the answer to that is that, well, a lot of these people don't live in reality. What a lot of people see as reality, to them, is not reality. They don't deal in legality, they don't deal with facts, they deal in their emotions.
Period. Kid crushed it. Crushed it. God, he sounds like me. It's not hard. This is like I'm going to show you a video you're going to hate. You're going to hate this. You're going to hate it. It's Whoopi. It's Whoopi. And she's right. And she's wrong. She's right and wrong. This has multiple sides. This is just like J6. It's not open and shut. People are like, they just let him in. No, not in all cases. It was peaceful. No, not in all cases. But there were peaceful things that happened there too. Listen, myopic thinking gets the best of a lot of people. A singular solution for a multifaceted problem just doesn't work. This is what Democrats try to do. We're going to use collectivism. Everybody's the same, so therefore everybody deserves the same. No, we're not. Some people work really hard for their scratch. Some people give more than others. Some people have less than others because of situations that are out of their control that the government should help with, because that's the definition of security and safety and the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And those things are hindering any of those things. The government's responsible to fix it. And that's it, full stop. That's all the government's supposed to do. But somehow we've become entertainers. We've become greenhouse gas specialists. We've become windmill specialists. We've become drug specialists. And what's a narco boat? And nobody trusts anything that anyone says. And we only trust these fucking politicians. What are they qualified? Some of these people haven't even held a job ever in their lives. Why are we listening to them? What's their qualification? You want to know what my qualifications are? I don't talk about shit that I don't know. It's not on my show. I don't talk about it. Well, why don't you ever talk about this? Because I don't know anything about that. And for me to say that is pretty rare because I'm a dilettante. I know a little bit about everything, it seems, just nothing at all really well. I'm not an expert at anything. I'm just really good at knowing a lot of shit, but not being an expert at it. So when I'm not, I go learn and I study, like how to run a podcast, how to go ahead and work for a Fortune 15, how to get an Intel. Folks, I flunked out of high school, and I worked for one of the most prestigious units in the United States military. How? Well, I applied myself, and I learned, and I taught myself, and I was bored in school, and I hated it. So I ditched all the time, and I got away with it until I didn't, and then I got in trouble. And then I got banned from the California school districts. But that's a whole nother conversation. That is a very long story. My point is this, is that you don't need to be a rocket surgeon or a brain scientist. Yes, I mix those metaphors and those idioms on purpose. All you have to do is ask yourself the question, am I not seeing all sides to this? And even though it makes me uncomfortable and I feel dirty afterwards, you owe it to yourself to see multiple sides to the same problem. Because if you can't look at something in 3D, then why are you capable of seeing in 3D? If you're not going to use your eyes, if you're not going to use your brain, if you're not going to use your heart, if you're not going to use your sense of touch and smell and sight and sound and all those things that you have in those senses, then why are you even bothering to begin with? Why are you going to limit yourself? If you close your eyes and you cover your ears and you refuse to use the tools that God gave you to see a different perspective, then what's the point of seeing in 3D? Why don't you just blind yourself? Because you're missing a lot. Here's Whoopi Goldberg, who I can't stand. I wouldn't pee on her if she was on fire. If she had a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial, I would just be like, but I can tell you that she says some things that are incredibly astute, and then she also says some shit that is incredibly wrong. Here it is, listen.
They murdered a man. He is standing, he has his phone, and he has a bottle of water, and they shot him 10 times. What the? I don't know what you're investigating if you're not investigating the straight up murder. The straight up murder. This is the second one. The second murder of an American citizen who is doing what they are. You haven't gotten rid of the Bill of Rights yet. So people don't know that we're not supposed to go out and do this. So I don't understand what you're investigating. You see it. You're not blind. And if you don't see it, it's willful. Because you're not looking. You can't sit by this. Christy Noem, you can't justify this. Mr. what is his? I don't want to. Mr. Bovino, you can't justify this. You can't justify either one.
No.
And we all see it. And we see you for what you are. You all have blood on your hands.
Okay. Wow. Whole bunch of emotion in that one. I'm going to read off Joseph's first, and then I'll get to my thoughts. Oh, my God, that's too small. That's what she said. 20-year military police officer here. Thank you for your service. Go Army, except when you play Navy. You guys haven't had a luck in the last 2 years. There's many holes in all of this. There's a lot of things that went on that, to me, screams murder. This was 5-on-1. Since when do odds matter in a police situation when you're trying to apprehend somebody? 5-on-1, 6-on-1, whatever it takes to get the assailant down. It's a lot harder to keep somebody down than it is to get up. You know this. And then we go ahead and we take away reverse chokeholds and we take away certain grips. It makes it more difficult for officers to get a hold of somebody. They're also loaded in tactical gear. They've got gloves on. This guy's fired up. He's amped. He's trying to move. I don't have a problem with 5-on-1. I don't care about that. There's no reason why they couldn't put cuffs on him. Sure there are. I just told you the reasons. He's not a Shaolin Kung Fu master. You don't have to be. You ever tried to grab a 14-year-old when they don't want to be caught? End of story. My kid can do that shit. They felt like they were losing the wrestling match and stepped back, pumping 10 rounds. This isn't true. You were an officer? I don't believe you were an MP. I'm sorry. Nobody with this myopic of a viewpoint can be an officer. You need to call in. That in itself is heinous. He was getting his ass kicked by 5 guys. One was even hitting him in the head with a CS canister. Sure he was hitting with a CS canister. And as an MP, you never used a closed fist? You never used a PR-24? You never used a taser? You never wrapped up somebody's side behind the head when they were fighting with handcuffs? Come on, dude. You were a cop? Dude, I did shore patrol for 3 months with a master at arms, and I probably saw more action than you're alluding to. 20 years in, and you did nothing like that? You know they're allowed to use non-lethal force, and a pepper spray can upside the head is non-lethal force. This all could have been avoided. Sure, yeah, he could have not shown up. So many ifs, primary ifs. The agent didn't decide to go across the street and push him, the lady, and escalate the situation. This is his job. That woman confronted the officer. Did you see what she was doing in the vehicles? Did you see how they were obstructing traffic? Did you even watch the videos before? Come on, man. Listen, I have no problem with your take. It's not that you're wrong on everything. It's just I think it's a very myopic viewpoint. I think you already have a predetermined notion. This is just like Whoopi. She's already signed, sealed, and delivered that this was murder. It's funny. You guys didn't say that about Ashley Babbitt. You guys didn't say that about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk deserved it. You guys wore Halloween costumes with bullet holes in their necks and made fun of Charlie Kirk. You guys made fun of Donald Trump and said that the assassin should get better aim next time. You wished him dead multiple times, multiple occasions. Why is it that anytime something happens to somebody who's in the Republican Party, that the person was just? When you guys kill CEOs, why when you go to Nick Fuentes' house to kill him, and Nick Fuentes is a complete douchebag, but somehow nobody speaks out against that. When the threats that I get to hold my daughter down and rape her while they cut my wife open from her vagina to her breasts and then smear my child in her blood, why do I get threats like that? So I'm not sure I understand. My whole point is, let's see what the investigation unfolds. From my perspective, there were a lot of wrongs. And I've said honestly, they disarmed him. I was honest. They shot him. He didn't need to die, but he also didn't need to resist. He didn't need to obstruct justice. He didn't need to fight. He didn't need to carry a concealed weapon inside an area without a license because he didn't have his license. And as you know, that's a felony. He can't do that. Immediately revocation of that right if he was alive. Even if nothing was happening, he was shot, he would have lost his CCW because he broke the law. And he went there with the intent to obstruct justice. He went there to interfere with a police operation, with a federal, constitutionally protected, lawful operation. He went there for that. So he went looking for trouble. So when we sit here and say that this guy was just innocent, they just beat the shit out of him, he's the modern day Rodney King, but a little less dark, I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. That's just me. Wasn't a butt of a gun. It was a can. So that's all. I appreciate, Joseph, your perspective. I appreciate your service, but I think it's a little naive. I mean, if you did 20 years as an MP, you can't tell me that you're struggling to understand how 5 guys can't take down 1. We don't know what this guy would. We don't know. We don't have an autopsy report. Let's see if he was on methamphetamine. If he's on methamphetamine, it's going to take 10 guys to get him down. Rodney King was on PCP, LSD, and a bunch of other shit, and speedball and cocaine. And homeboy, that guy was hit how 100 times? How many cops were on him? Did you watch the video beforehand where he took 2 cops and threw one across the frickin' hood and grabbed the other guy and spun him around like a rag doll? Nobody watches the Rodney King video 10 minutes prior and all the shit that he did, and he was just literally tearing through cops like crazy. Nobody sees those things. So I'm being respectful. I'm not trying to harangue you, but I just don't. It's hard for me to believe. You have to understand. I'm not a cop. I worked for the Master at Arms for 3 months. Saw some altercations. Saw some drunk tanks. Had to get some petty theft type stuff. Nothing huge. I've had to grab people. I was a bouncer in a bar. I know what it's like. I was a good one. It's a tough bar. Cowboy bar is no joke in Wyoming. And anybody who's a cowboy knows that those people are fucking insane. And I bounced that bar. I wanted to be in the FBI when I was younger, but then military, I hurt myself and I couldn't. But I've been in situations, worked in Krav Maga, hand-to-hand combat, CQB, close quarter combat, all that type of shit. Played around and done all that stuff. But I will tell you that if a person does not want to be apprehended and don't want to give you their arms, it's not easy. And you know it's not easy. You're not going to sit here and tell me that. You can't be a 20-year cop and tell me that one person can easily, without violating the code of conduct and the limitations that they have, apprehend somebody and get them handcuffed, because it's not that easy. You know that. And if he won't show his hands, and they kept saying, show me your hands, give up, stop fighting, and he wouldn't, and then somebody sees a holster, someone sees a gun removed, and their brain can't process it that fast. And it's already a heightened sense with a lot of craziness and a lot of fear. How about this? How about he just stayed home and let ICE do their jobs? Maybe that would be nice. Army standards, I guess, were much stricter, and ROE was don't pull it unless you're fired upon first. He wasn't resisting. Please tell me you would let them continue to hit you. Please give me a break. He resisted when he got the face full of pepper spray and pushed and swung on the cop. I wouldn't have been in that situation. I've been down in D.C. plenty of times. I've been in situations where there are protests. I went to the Second Amendment protests and brought my AR down into Richmond, Virginia. I didn't get shot. I didn't get into an altercation with a cop. I didn't throw anything. What do you mean? He didn't sit there. You know what you do? Before anything even happens, you put your hands up and you say, I'm armed. And I'm not going, you tell me how you would like me to proceed, officer. When he says, get the fuck over there, you say, yes, sir. Give me a break, dude. You're military. I don't think you and I were in the same military. Just saying. You follow orders. And if an officer of the law who's conducting their job tells you that you're breaking the law and to knock it off, and you don't, well, then you reap the whirlwind. It's your own fault. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to shovel responsibility all on ICE when this guy specifically was there to get into a confrontation with ICE, and we all know he was. And you to do that is completely disingenuous. He needs to take some culpability. In my opinion, the only thing that matters is, did the agent that fired his weapon have a reasonable fear for his life? That's it. Yeah, he did. Did he have a reasonable fear for his life? That's not for me to answer. Joseph Hart, former MP, also in 33 years of police officer, including 15 on SWAT and 3 deployments. I respectfully disagree, and so do I. I'm with Doc. Doc and I are completely in line. Oh, and my uncle, homicide detective on SWAT. I've got hundreds of officer friends. I've got people in ICE. I've got people in the FBI, Secret Service. I know people, MARSOC, SEALs, British SAS, RAF, IDF, Mossad, MI6. I've got friends all over the world. And I will tell you, I would be hard-pressed to find anyone who concurs with your analysis of the situation just from a physicality standpoint. Yeah, not at all. All right, anyway, let's keep going. We're going, oh, folks, shit, we're at 158. Folks, we're at goal. We got 7 minutes to hit goal. Would appreciate it if you could help out. If you can, you can go to thedumbshow.com and donate. We are 100% self-funded. And the reason why we're self-funded is because Facebook shut us down monetarily. So for 3.5 years, 4 years, we didn't ask for a dime. We were self-funded. Our ads made great money. Our shows made great money. We had no problem. Everything was good. We never asked for a penny. We turned down thousands of dollars from viewers. People who tried to give us money, we said no. We sold some shirts, and that's all we did. Well, then they cut us off, and the dummies came around. This entire set that you see here, this entire thing in its entirety, every single part of this set was paid for by the Don't Unfriend Me Nation. And we built it, and we built it on our own. And the reason why we did that is we raised $20,000. We had an amazing night. We put in $10,000 of our own money. And we built this amazing set so we could do and bring this show to you. So do you have to give? No. If you're in a position where you can't, don't. We want you to take care of yourself first. But if you're sitting here and you're going, listen, I paid $19 for Netflix and I paid $20 for this and $20 for this, but I watch The Dumb Show for 10 hours, 20 hours a month, 30 hours a month. Ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Is there something that you can help out the show, whether it's $1, $5, $10, $100, doesn't matter. It's up to you. Please do help us out. Go to thedumbshow.com/donate and help out our show. All right. Here is Kristi Noem. Now, I'm going to give you the good, and I'm going to give you the bad. I'm going to tell you what she did wrong and what she did right, and I'm just going to tell you the truth, okay? Here it is.
The White House has labeled the man who was killed in Minnesota as a domestic terrorist. Is that something you agree with? And have you seen any evidence to
when
back
you
up that claim?
perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
Where's the evidence of his ideology, though?
Drew Evans of Minneapolis.
Wow. Does anyone want to talk about that? Because there is no doubt. But I think that's a little chicken shit to say that. I think there should be a higher standard for domestic terrorism than that. Otherwise, the J6ers were domestic terrorists too. Okay? Whether you like to hear that or not. I don't consider him to be a domestic terrorist. I consider him to be an activist. I consider him to be a complete jackhole. And I disagree with him and everything he stands for, but I don't think he should be dead, and I would not classify him as a domestic terrorist. I think that is way above and beyond the pale. What do you think? This guy got overzealous. He got involved. He tried to be the tough guy. He got his ass completely just handed to him. And then he died. MARSOC, Marine Corps Forces Special Operation Command. MARSOC. So I disagree with her assessment. Now, I watched the full 3 minutes of this. And in that, she goes that he fired a shot and that he was violently going to go there and unload onto ICE. Dude, they fucked up. Kristi Noem fucked up. And if you go watch the whole thing, I think you'll agree with me. And nobody should be good. Nobody should be okay. What they did is that the fog of war came out. You know what they should have said? We are going to be investigating it. We are going to do what we always do and protect American citizens by making sure that illegal criminals are deported from our country safely and in an expedient manner. We will be looking into this case, but I am not on the ground and I am not going to answer any questions about it until I have all the facts. That's what you should have said. But you didn't say that. You rushed a statement. You called him a domestic terrorist. You said he was there loaded with magazines and he had a firearm, and you made him sound like a fucking terrorist. Well, guess what, lady? I'm a domestic terrorist too. And so is anyone with a gun. Because that's not the classification of a domestic terrorist. A domestic terrorist is a person with a political ideology who will use violence at the ends of their means to justify the ends of their means. That is not what he did. This guy didn't brandish a firearm. He didn't threaten cops to kill them. He was a loudmouth punk who thought he was going to play the knight in shining armor for somebody who broke the law and then broke the law himself and would not comply. That's it. I don't consider what he did domestic terrorism. An asshole? Yes. Domestic terrorism? No. Activist? Yes. Liberal? Yes. Stupid? Yes. Joseph Hart said, seriously, dude, I like your program, but now you start saying he was on drugs and I wasn't. No. No, I'm seriously doubt. No. Okay. I think you're being a little sensitive to this conversation. First of all, you should call in. Instead of writing paragraphs, you should call in because things are going to get misconstrued. I'm also doing a show and I'm going 120 miles an hour. I didn't say he was on drugs. I said we need an autopsy report and we should look. That's what I said. We should know. Don't you? I mean, don't you think there should be a full investigation? Autopsy is a part of this. Let's find out. Was he on drugs? Is that hard to believe that maybe he was not in the right state of mind? Was he on psychotropic drugs? Was he on any type of mental counseling? Did he have a mental instability? These things should be looked at, don't you think? I do. It would answer a lot of questions. You're a cop. You should totally get that. As far as being an MP, it's not that I'm questioning that you were in the Army, and I'm not questioning that you were military police. I may be questioning the level of involvement that you did in police work. Because there's a very big difference between a person who's admin and a person who's actually out there conducting arrests and in the field. Okay? I just told you as a master of arms, I did some small petty theft, did a couple drunk tank situations, had to break up some fights. I was very honest, in my opinion, that even though I did that for 3 months, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was cracking skulls and doing detective work, or I was out there apprehending sailors and Marines who were belligerent and not doing their jobs or resisting arrest. So that's just me being honest. Now, when you say I'm a 20-year MP and then go ahead and tell me that you don't think that this person could resist, that 5-on-1 is ridiculous, you're giving me off signs that you didn't do any physical activity as an MP. Maybe you had the training, but did you actually go out and do that? Because if you did, I'm not sure how you got to that conclusion, because people who have been outside the wire, people who have been in a squad car, people who've went on ride-alongs, people who have family in the business will tell you that everything you're saying doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense. A cop wouldn't say that. A 5-on-1? That's what backup is for. So I'm questioning the level of work that you did that makes you an expert in this subject. That's what I'm questioning, because you haven't uncovered that. You haven't disclosed that. So you took my shorthand for an insult. I'm not insulting you. If he wanted to use it, it would have been out. That's not the question. The point is, it's not about using it. Go ahead. It's not about using it. I don't care about the firearm. I care the fact that the firearm is a part of the equation because the firearm was there. And the firearm was seen by officers, and it increased the tension of the situation. And he wasn't licensed to carry it. He didn't have his license on him. It's illegal. It's a felony. He broke the law there. $365,000. Woohoo. So that's a felony. He obstructed justice. That's a felony. He resisted arrest. That's a felony. He uninterrupted and impeded an investigation that was taking place. He was trying to apprehend the girl who had just spit on the cop, who had just slapped and pushed the cop, and he was trying to go ahead and stop it. He was upset that the ICE officer pushed her. and tried to jump in and get involved and play hero. Well, that was stupid. And yeah, I'd love to call in and debate this. I don't know how. Good luck with this. You call the phone number, 276-200-2105. You people are twisted thinking that this is okay. I didn't say it was okay. Yeah, you're not listening. You're just trying to start shit. Whatever. The good shooting was a good shoot. This, no way. Every cop in my circle agree. We're Republicans. Okay, whatever. Okay, you can have your opinion. The guy that I showed you the video said he would, but I just don't agree with your premises. I don't even agree with. It's not about that I disagree with you with what happened in this shooting. I disagree with your generalizations about a 5-on-1 and they were beating the shit out of him and he couldn't go ahead and comply. I completely disagree with those characterizations and they're completely false. Because that's not what happened. He broke the law. And as an officer of the law, you should say that people need to be held accountable when they break the law. So here's the question. Did he break the law? Did he break the law before the officer engaged with him? Did he break the law in any way, shape, or form? Just answer that question. And if the answer is yes, he did, then at that point, as officers of the law, it's their responsibility to apprehend him and restrain him and either charge him or let him go. But you, as an officer of the law, have to agree with that, right? Did he break the law? Then he did. Okay. Then this is the end of the conversation. Then there is all the rest of it semantics. They tried to execute to the best of their ability and enforce the law that they are actually hired to do, that they are constitutionally protected to do. He broke the law. They were trying to apprehend him. He resisted. He got killed. That's the way it happened. Now, there's a whole bunch of nuance in there, and I've already uncovered all that, and I've openly said it. But for you to sit here and say that I said it was good or said it was a good shoot and that I'm defending these agents completely, you haven't even listened to the show. It's disingenuous. You're misrepresenting what I said. Okay? So that's it. You just call the show. You pick up the phone and you call. That's it. Yeah, for any altercation arrest, the more cops, the better. Yeah. It is called a display of force, and it works. It's a right to open carry, and you can as long as you don't have a felony. Yeah, Dominic, that's true, but he wasn't open carrying. He was concealed carrying, and it's not a right without a license in that state and pretty much everywhere else. So that's not true. So the facts are he was concealed carry because it was on his right hip. And if you go ahead and take a look at the video, he has a jacket over that. And it took him literally having it almost pulled up over his head in order to see the firearm. So he was concealed. That's not open carry. So it was against the law. So that's not fair for you to say that. I think what Noam said was extreme. However, leftists only recently say, bring your guns, take out. Once again, I'm not condoning what the leftists said, but this guy, he wasn't documented as saying those things. There was no proof. Now, we may find that he did say those things, but at the time, Noam didn't know this. She called him a domestic terrorist, which I think is really stupid. She also said he shot and fired and was concerned, and that he shot and fired and he drew his weapon on officers and he was there to ultimately shoot and kill officers. This is all not true. And there's no sign of that in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's disingenuous for her to do that. See? You should have called in. Anyway, that's it. Let's go to the next. Folks. Hey, Liv, are we dry? Sorry, I'm trying to see if we... Having a tough night, folks. Tough night. Tough spot. 158.09. We are in overtime right now. Are we done? Okay. Cesar Hernandez, why did they make excuses for the left? But when it happened with Kyle Rittenhouse, they were making up everything of why he didn't have the gun. Yeah, I just said the same thing, Cesar. And for people comparing this to Rittenhouse didn't defy authorities. He didn't resist arrest. He didn't obstruct justice. He used a firearm to defend the property of a friend. And he defended himself. Do I think Rittenhouse is a hero? No. I think Rittenhouse is a chode. But do I think that he went there to kill and murder people? No. Because he had plenty of chances to do that. He used his weapon in a very effective way, by the way, in a rig that was like $500. And it shows that you don't need an expensive rig to be effective. I mean, he crushed it. You know what I mean? All right, let's rock and roll. Next, Elizabeth Warren. Oh, one thing about Whoopi, can you tell she's at least sincere? Maybe completely off base, maybe completely wrong, but was she sincere? Does she believe what she's saying? It's interesting. You may not agree with the words, but is she her feelings and convictions, do they seem legit? And at least in that situation, I don't doubt what she's saying, that she doesn't believe it. Here's Elizabeth Warren. You guys tell me, does she mean this? Now, try to look at this and does she mean it? Even though it's completely bullshit, does she mean it? Listen.
He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
That's not true. In any way, shape, or form is that true. And here's Elizabeth Warren's reaction. Now, can we stand this commie pinko son of a motherless? No. Do we like her? No. Can I 1 in 1,024th? No. This woman is a commie and she's a socialist and I can't stand her and she's disingenuous and she is a lump of sack of pus, in my opinion. However, just listen.
This isn't hard. You can see with your own eyes that Trump's Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is lying. Masked federal agencies shot and killed another American citizen in broad daylight. The man was Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse at a Minneapolis VA.
So what do you think? Is she real? Is she legit? Or is she reading? She's reading. This is a ChatGPT write-up on the screen that she is right below her phone and her eyes are right on it and she's reading it word for word. She doesn't believe anything she's saying. Don Bradley donated $20, a little to help. Thank God. Thanks, Don, because anything will help at this point. We are $120 from hitting goal. Help out. She's reading a script. Whoopi at least meant what she said. Whoopi at least believes in what she said, and I got to respect Whoopi for that. I don't like her. I don't agree with her, but I respect her. This woman is as fake as a $3 bill.
Hospital. He was not a terrorist. He was a nurse for veterans. And when agents pushed a woman to the ground, he tried to help her get up.
Thank you, Joanne Townsend. $50. Thank you, Matt. No, Joanne, thank you. We love you. Folks, we are $70 away.
His last words on earth were, "Are you okay?"
Hands up, don't shoot. Come on.
Trump and Kristi Noem.
No, the last words were, "Fucking get off me, pig. Fuck you, pig." I guarantee it.
Think they can tell you what to believe. They think you will believe them instead of your own eyes. Don't roll over for a lie. These lies have to stop. We cannot allow this shooting and ICE's blatant violations of law to be covered up. It's time to rein in the federal agents who think they can swagger through our streets, throw people to the ground, shoot American citizens, and then count on protection from Trump and Noem. We need a full, independent investigation and all wrongdoing held to account to the fullest extent of the law. The victims of this violence deserve justice. As I've said before, Kristi Noem should resign. And if she doesn't...
There it is. Political 101. Folks, that is about as authentic as plastic boobs. She's fake. She's as fake as her Native American bullshit. And even though some of the things she said was correct, it's all a political ploy. Kristi Noem said some things that were wrong. And all she had to do was come out and call it, but then she calls for her resignation, right? Then she makes up people being thrown to the ground and shot. This is the difference between authenticity and DuPont plastic. Understand the difference. You may not like Whoopi. I don't like Whoopi. But I'll tell you what, I'm willing to listen to what Whoopi had to say, and I listened to the whole video. I could hardly make it through Elizabeth Warren because the moment I found out she was reading, I realized that this wasn't real, that it's just canned. It's just the talking points, and she's reading off the email that she just got from the DNC. This woman doesn't represent you. She represents her own interests. At least Whoopi. No, I don't think Whoopi was acting. I really don't. I'm pretty good at that. I can read people pretty well. I slept at a Holiday Inn last night. And I'll tell you, at least she believes what she's saying. I don't think Elizabeth Warren believes anything she's saying. Moving on. Folks, we are $70 to goal. Would love that. We also need to sell some coffee or some shirts or something. Folks, go over to the store, thedumbshow.com/donate. We have some amazing, amazing clothing lines. We have some funny stuff over there. I promise you won't be disappointed. Tim Walz. Let's listen to what Tim Walz has to say.
Children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside.
Why? Why? Why are they afraid? Why are they hiding? Why? Why do we have children in Minnesota that are afraid? What are their parents telling them? And what children are being targeted? Do you mean there are illegals who are afraid? Is that what you're saying? Well, they should be afraid. They're not supposed to be in our country. There's a process, and they broke that process. I'm sorry. I don't want to round up kids. I'm all about having DACA recipients who are under a certain age be admitted to the United States. I'm okay with that. I don't care. I'm okay with people who've been here for generations and they have businesses. I really don't care. But the point is that there are criminals that are being harbored by these people, and they need to be exfilled from our country. Period. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. They're criminals. I don't care. So if there are a bunch of kids who are scared that ICE are trying to arrest, trust me when I say this, you can't demonstrate one iota of any evidence, one sliver of evidence that children are being rounded up by ICE. Parents are allowed to have that choice to take their children with them when they're being deported, and that is a very different thing.
Any of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank.
Oh, my God.
Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Why?
And there's one person who can end this now. We have
Mickey Mouse? This is not even remotely close to Anne Frank. And the fact that you don't even understand the story of Anne Frank and what happened to her family and what happened to her and the overall murder and fear that took place, and there was no arrests or deportations, there was extermination. And the fact that you don't understand the difference demonstrates why you are a retard. And everyone calls you a retard. You are a legitimate, full-fledged, 100% retard. And so is your daughter. Holy shit. I didn't think it could get any worse. We're going to talk about her in a second. But the problem is that Walz says Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable. Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. No shit. However, Donald Trump did the following. Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together. It's amazing. After the Signal chat comes out, we find out that there were people working inside his administration and inside the state with these protesters. It kind of leads you to believe maybe Tim Walz is a little scared. We know he's obviously scared because of the fraud that's going on. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on similar wavelength. Told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that we are looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I'll be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We've had tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and virtually every other place that we have touched. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down, and both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald J. Trump. So Bovino has been pulled. ICE has been pulled. They are leaving Minnesota because some agreement has been made. Now, I expect them to go absolutely back if this does not continue, and we don't see real cooperation with Minnesota and the local police departments with the federal government. This is what it's going to require. But isn't it funny that all of these other places have absolutely no problem with ICE except for Minnesota? Do you think it could be possibly all of the people who are starting shit and being funded to riot and protest and to create as much dissension, much fear, and animosity as possible and obstruct the justice of what is taking place because they disagree with it? That doesn't mean you get the right to break the law, but you don't see this anywhere else. Why? Why isn't this happening? And why is crime down? If ICE is so bad at their job and not doing it, why is crime going down? Why are 10,000 criminals off the streets in Minnesota? Doesn't this make sense? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And of course it does. But they don't care about that. So, Tim Walz's daughter, she's a retard too. Here she is.
There is something so sinister about JD Vance, who has young children that happen to be mixed race, justifying the arrest, the detainment of 5-year-olds and saying
5-year-olds?
that
What?
he's proud that we're supporting law enforcement and they're just doing their jobs. And what were they supposed to do? I don't know, JD, maybe not arrest a 5-year-old, even if it was to lure the dad out like that. What? Like, genuinely, it's sinister. The fact that he cannot connect what happened to that little boy and that little boy's family to his family while having kids.
Joseph says, I'll call in tomorrow. I joined too late to create a dialogue with you about this. 170th MP Company, Fort Lewis. Well, I know Fort Lewis pretty well. 287 MP NHHC Berlin Brigade. No, Germany. Good job for you. 97 MP BAT Fort Riley. Kansas. Don't know Fort Riley. And 15 MP Brigade Leavenworth. Good for you, man. So you served. My question is, were you field or predominantly duty station and detention center facilities? That's what I'm just asking. I mean, what's your experience? How many times did you get down and dirty with criminals? How many times did you have to wrap somebody up? Listen, dude, your experience is extensive and we can disagree. I just don't agree with your premise on the things, your assessment of the situation. I don't care how long you've been a cop. Chuck Peterson donated $75. Another great show. Thanks, Matt. Thank you, Chucky. Appreciate you. Thanks for letting us hit goal, buddy. That means the world. Listen, man, I don't care how long you've been a cop. You can be a cop for 20 years. You can be a cop for 50 years. I don't care. Your premises and your presumptions are off. And that doesn't mean that you being a cop qualifies that. Just because I don't believe in the fallacy argument that I have to have some sort of, I don't know, like I'm not going to default to authority on this. That's a fallacy argument, because, hey, I've done this longer than you, therefore my opinion's more valid. I disagree. And if you have those assessments at a 5-on-1 that you could just wrap a guy up singularly, I disagree. I completely disagree. You think you could wrap me up? Want to give it a try? I'm 6'4" and I'm 225 pounds. I can run 3 miles without a problem. I push 60,000 pounds every other day. You think you can take me down? Give it a try. I guarantee you can't do it with one guy. Unless you use some sort of force that is not authorized, you're not taking me down. But if you tase me, you mace me, pepper spray, PR-24, that's why I'm asking. This guy took a full shot of pepper spray in the face and didn't go down. He had 5 cops on him, and he was still moving and still fighting. He was on his knees and on his hands. He was resisting. He was trying to get up. That's where I asked the question about what chemicals he had in his body. Because as we know, methamphetamine, PCP, LSD, they create an amazing amount of strength. And I want to know. So your whole point is why I asked the question. If you're like 5-on-1's excessive, well, if it's excessive, he would have been apprehended, don't you think? Okay, then what's causing him to be superhuman? He wasn't anything of major stature. He's 6'2"? Probably weighed $180. Man, I warm up bench his weight. So I don't know, man. I just disagree with you. And it's not that I'm disrespecting you. And if it sounds like I disrespected you, I apologize for that. That's not my intention. Maybe I got off to the wrong foot. But what I don't understand is your assessment. I don't get it. That's all. All right. Walz number 2. Watch this.
We just got a statement from the office of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz about his conversation with President Trump that we reported on earlier. The governor's office called it productive, adding, quote, the president agreed that he would talk to the Department of Homeland Security about ensuring the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is able to conduct an independent investigation, as would ordinarily be the case. The president also agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota and working with the state in a more coordinated fashion on immigration enforcement regarding violent criminals. Now, President Trump is sending a new direct report to Minneapolis. Veteran ICE official Tom Homan. It's unclear how he will work with leaders on the ground, like the chief and the chief at large of Border Patrol, Gregory Bovino. I spoke at length.
All right. Trump is trying to de-escalate the situation by removing ICE. I agree with Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters said it best. He's like, ICE needs to stick and move. They are essentially a special forces command inside the federal government. They react to situations. They go in, they apprehend and out. They're very much like the marshals. That's the way they should act. They should stick and move. They shouldn't be in long, extended periods of time reinforcing in a defensive position because they're going to get attacked. And that's what's happening. I like the fact, make them smaller, make it more surgical. Yeah, I called out Chucky. Yep. Thanks, babe. So I happen to agree with pulling them out right now, and I think you de-escalate the situation. You make them more lethal by having them be more secretive and quiet. That's it. People think that Donald Trump is weak. Donald Trump is not weak. Donald Trump does not want to see this escalate any further, and he's going to be acquiesced to the request because obviously Walz called him. Walz brought in the National Guard with coffee and donuts. Walz is a douche plow. And I think that Trump probably has the goods on Walz. And he's saying, listen, bro, you're not going to be here much longer. But while you're here, you're going to need to go ahead and give up those criminals. And we're going to call this good. Because I don't think even your side's going to bitch about criminals. Stop playing grab ass. Be the way of Tennessee. Be the way of Louisiana. Be the way of Georgia. Be the way of the other areas that we've went into. And act accordingly. And stop playing this fucking game. We know what you're doing. And sounds like he is going to do it. We'll see. If he doesn't, I think we go back in. Trey Gowdy. Oh my God. Dude, listen, I respect Trey Gowdy's mind. And there was a time that I thought, oh, this guy's going to go after Hillary Clinton. What an amazing, he's worthless as tits on a boar. Just like Jason Chaffetz, just like Michelle Bachmann, just like Lindsey Graham. They're all neocons. And I'm sorry. Trey Gowdy, anytime you want to come on this show, I will absolutely school you. You might be a constitutionalist and you might be a constitutional lawyer and you're a smart guy, but you are dead wrong on this. Listen to this.
Frustrates people. You remember Kyle Rittenhouse and how he was made a hero on the right. I am sure there are people on the conservative side who are saying, wait a minute. You mean you can't take a firearm to a protest because you were just celebrating the guy for doing it a couple of years ago? Alex Pretty's firearm was lawfully being carried. It's lawful to carry a gun in Minnesota. He never brandished it. He didn't point it at the cops. And I think what
absolutely 100% not the same thing. Wisconsin gun laws, Minnesota gun laws, it was concealed. That is a completely different conversation. Trey Gowdy is 100% wrong. Kyle Rittenhouse had an open carry rifle that was legal to own, that he had the right to possess, and he defended himself and he tried to flee the situation. He tried to flee it multiple times. He was fired at in multiple situations and did not return fire until it was officially directed at him. He took out 3 people. These people were not good people. You guys are protecting pedophiles and you're protecting people who are nefarious in their crimes, and they were trying to kill him. They were going to beat him senseless, and he defended himself effectively. It is not a lawful carry just because he has a license, which I do. The other day, openly, I had this firearm with me, and it was in my back, small on my back, holstered, and I went to the doctor's office. And as I was talking to the doctor, they asked me for my insurance card, and I reached back, and I did not have my license. I was illegal at that point. Just because I have a license to carry, and I have reciprocity in a lot of states, and I have a CCL and CCW in a lot of states, there's not many I can't carry in. I was breaking the law. And that's an open admission. It was a mistake, and I forgot. Most cops would probably forgive it. But you don't have ID, and you go into a situation, it's a felony. Carrying this weapon without your license in a situation without your CCL or CCW is a felony. Period. Concealed, you can't do it. He's full of shit. As far as Kyle Rittenhouse, he was not a hero. I don't idolize him. I think he should have stayed the fuck out of it. I think he should have stayed home too. But once he was there, what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse and what happened with this guy are completely two different things. Kyle Rittenhouse engaged and confronted people who were trying to kill him in self-defense. In no way, shape, or form was Pretty in any way remotely in any danger until he decided to go ahead and break the law. Once he did that and resisted arrest, all bets were off. Period. I think everyone knows that. I can't stand Trey Gowdy. Just frustrates me. This was a Georgia school where they have 16% reading proficiency and efficacy and 6% in math. Here's the school in Georgia. This looks very similar to schools in Virginia, including my daughter and son's school. Watch this. I keep seeing Todd's comment, Second Amendment. I think Todd's bone of contention with me is that the Second Amendment ensures that every single person has the right to carry a firearm. This is, if you want to talk about the Constitution as a federal law, you can, but what you are doing then is ignoring the Constitution and the 10th Amendment. And you're stating that all rights reserved, that the states, if it's not a codified law, that is selective by at least a 3/4 representation of all states with a Constitution convention of states, which it's not, that the states have a right to go ahead and codify their own laws on firearm possession, which they do. Just like they have absolutely their own laws to go ahead and do anything else that they want when it comes to marijuana usage. You can federally legalize it, but the states don't have to follow. Abortion can be legal federally, but then once they repealed Roe v. Wade, it was up to the states. You're actually negating the Constitution by saying that Second Amendment is unequivocal and that every single person has the exact same rights and it's federally given. That's not the way this works. Until there is a convention of states and it becomes a federal mandate, there are provisions and changes to the law, whether we like it or not. That's the way this is. Now, would I like the Bill of Rights to be completely unaccosted? Yeah, but 9 of the Bill of Rights have already been neutered completely, including speech. The only thing that hasn't is 3rd, which is the quartering of troops. And unless the English decide to invade, we're not going to have to worry about that. Or the U.S. decides to go ahead and have a civil war and put troops in our homes. That's the only one they haven't touched. Now, do I disagree with that? Yes. Do I think Second Amendment should be 100% everybody's right, except for felons? Well, it doesn't say that in the Constitution. You have to have rules, you have to have laws, and we've decided as a country that we don't want felons who have served their time and still have felonies possessing firearms and voting. That's the way it is. Whether you like it or not, don't, or change the law. But to sit here and say, Second Amendment, well, sure, that's nice in a theoretical standpoint based upon the Constitution as it was written in 1786. But as of today, it has been modified with amendments to state that there are certain limitations, especially in the reserved powers of the states, to define how they handle their personal ownership of firearms. And whether concealed carry, open carry, or constitutional carry, they get to decide those laws. That's the way it works. That's called the Constitution of the United States. So, that's it. And it doesn't mean that I agree. I'm just telling you, that's what the law is. Okay? That's what it states. Well-regulated. No, they didn't. Well-regulated didn't mean what you think it means. So now here I'm going to argue with your point. Roger, listen to this. Well-regulated didn't mean well-disciplined or well-restricted. Regulated means well-kept. And if you look, I can show you probably 10 or 12 literary references where well-regulated was meant as well self-groomed, well taken care of. Best way I can describe it is changing your oil every 2,000 miles or 4,000 miles, whatever it takes, and whatever type of synthetic oil you have. It's good grooming standards. Well, what they meant by well-regulated was well taken care of. They meant the weapons needed to be well taken care of. It wasn't well-regulated as far as more rules, because here's how I'll tell you that's true. If you don't believe me as far as the etymology of the word well-regulated and how it was used in the Old English, let me explain to you the following. The Founding Fathers just got done with a tyrannical king. who usurp their powers, from taxes to lands to riches to filing and taking their firearms to doing prima nocta in some cases and sleeping when the first night with the women of the colonies. They were essentially tyrannical. So they decided to go ahead and have a revolution, right? The Declaration of Independence was a proclamation of war to England. Then they fought that war, almost lost it multiple times, starved along the countryside, had tens of hundreds of thousands of people suffer the losses of life with a massive revolution against the king. And at the end of that, they decided to go ahead and put their hands together after the Constitution and ratify amendments. These amendments were proposed Bill of Rights to go ahead and protect the citizenry of this country from the government and not the other way around. And when they did that, they wrote 9 of the most astute laws that were freedom of speech, that were the right to protest, the right to go ahead and petition the government, the right to assemble, the right of a free press, freedom of religion, to have the Second Amendment with unequivocal rights to firearms, to protect themselves, and to form a well-regulated militia, a well-groomed, a well-processed, a well-taken care of militia. They then talked about habeas corpus and the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment and all of the rights. And at the very end, they even gave you a caveat, an end-all, be-all. And it was the 10th Amendment, which told the federal government that it could not usurp the rights of the states, that the states had to unilaterally agree with 2/3 of their votes to codify a new amendment. And to repeal that amendment, they would need 75% of the states with 3/4. They did all of that with that get-out-of-jail-free card. But wait, after they just went ahead and said that they want the limitation of the government for these 10 rights and give the citizenry the power to resist the government, and that these were natural and God-given rights, they decided to go ahead and say that the only people who could own weapons were that federal government. Doesn't make much sense, does it? This is why liberals don't call in, because they know they will get torched. That's probably the best explanation you've ever heard of why the Second Amendment was absolutely for the citizenry of this country. They would never, ever give those rights to create the smallest form of government known to man because they didn't trust the federal government, but they also didn't trust the people. The Founding Fathers were smart. They were very smart. And whether you were a Federalist or an Anti-Federalist, it didn't matter. Anti-Federalists didn't trust the government. Federalists trusted the government but didn't trust the people. So they made a compromise. And the compromise was, we will arm the people. We will give them the right to protect themselves. We will give them the right to say it. We will give them all of these rights, but they must follow these laws if all the states agree. They would never give the only weaponry to that government that they were trying to protect the people from. That's just the way it is. Let's rock and roll. Almost done. Ready to get out of here. A lot of people are talking.
You are sick and tired of your government being.
A lot of people are talking that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is involved in a Signal app fiasco and that they had direct access, the Minnesota government, with these protesters. I'm going to tell you that I don't like this woman. This woman is horrible. And she is an activist and she's a lefty commie. And I understand all of that. But the proof of her being on the Signals app is pretty thin. And I would ask us to wait. Just wait, but let's listen.
If you are sick and tired of your government being ransacked by Donald Trump and his minions, literally taking away health care from your neighbors, stealing food off of the table from seniors and children, and generally being uncool with the fact that our neighbors are being disappeared, P.S. without due process, it is just called kidnapping, then show up and use your voice. Put your body on the line and use nonviolent.
And put your body on the line.
Direct action, which is one of
That's
the
pretty good.
most important tools in our toolbox to say, I am not okay. I will not go silently into the night. I will join our...
What is this, St. Crispin's Day? Come on, Shakespeare. Shut the fuck up. Pardon my French. Alyssa Pollock, she is state curriculum instructional coach at Minneapolis Public Schools. This is that lovely lady that was on a second of the lieutenant governor. And there are signs at a Signal app, which had about 300 names on it, and a lot of them were the people in Minnesota and the resistance, had several accounts that exposed supposedly several state officials, including this one that says, "Why would we be in trouble? Relax. Signal is not secure. I worked in communications. Once they figured out where we were, it's only a matter of time. Flan has been exposed," which is the name of the governor, Peggy Flanagan. "We're all effed. I need to leave this state." Then this person says, "Should I leave too? Maybe best to get out of the country." Guy says, "I have contacts in Cuba. It was a thought. Have you been in contact with the others?" You're being gaslit, folks. This sounds like, I'm just letting you know, this sounds like disinformation. This sounds like these stupid chat groupers are trying to get people's goat. And now this thing has turned into this giant thing. Now, do I believe that the state government of Minnesota could have had a hand in this? Of course I do. Do I believe this is all DNC and Soros controlled? Absolutely. Do I believe that they're using this as political narrative? Yes. Do I believe they are stupid enough to be in a Signals chat with a bunch of frickin' protesters and leave that chain of evidence? I would be surprised. I would be surprised. But I don't know. Pete Hegseth used Signal. And that's something that I'm like, what? So, I don't know what to tell you. I know Signal is used by many different people, including myself. I use Proton Mail as well for anonymity and security. And a lot of people do. And a lot of government agencies use it. Is it possible? Well, I'll tell you, it happened in Virginia with Ruth Marks and the public schools. They were actually in Facebook groups and posing and creating and doxing parents who were Republicans and releasing it to these activist groups as targeting them. This was government officials. This happens. There is a communication network with the DNC and the Democrats. This is how they all post the same thing. And these resistance groups all have very heightened senses of communication. They have plans. They have instructions. They're very well funded and very well detailed. Is this something that could possibly be true? Sure, but let's wait. Just the fact that the guy said, I have contacts in Cuba. I just want people to wait and let's see, okay? Let's get them on the billions of dollars in fraud. Let's get them on what we do know. Let's get them on openly resisting and giving orders to people to resist, along with Jacob Fry, along with Flanagan and Walz. Let's see if we can go ahead and connect the dots. But as far as Signals apps, I think nobody is surprised that this government, especially in these liberal states, oppose the federal law. In the end, does it mean anything? I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. But to me, that looks canned. It looks pretty canned. Talk about a smoking gun. That's all I got. All right, folks, listen, I want to say thank you guys. Listen, I know it's tight for donations tonight. I really appreciate you guys pitching in and helping out and getting there. That means a lot to me. We're going to be on tomorrow. It's going to be Leroy and I tomorrow. We'll see you then. Can't wait to see you. Thanks so much for being on tonight. Thanks for watching the show. Please share, like, and subscribe. Go over to thedumbshow.com. Buy yourself something nice and something pretty. I'm glad you guys had a good night tonight. Glad you had fun. We'll see you tomorrow. 7 o'clock. Be there. Be square. Whatever. See ya. Oh, I'm going to hit the button. Bye.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.